June 10th, and this is our first budget work session. And so tonight, we're gonna start out. We got a couple of individuals wanting to come speak on behalf of their organizations. And so we're gonna have short presentations by them. And then after that, it'll be pretty much budget, going through the budget deliberations and answering questions and so forth. So appreciate y'all being here tonight. This meeting is also being broadcast on Zoom. So if you want to go back and look at it later, it'll be available on the county website on tomorrow. And so Renee, would you like to get us started?
Good afternoon, everyone. So first up, we have Vance County Schools coming to do a request, or I'm sorry, just to discuss their needs for fiscal year 24-25.
Good evening, Chair and Board. We are so grateful for the opportunity to speak very briefly to you this evening. You have seen our original request. I have with me John Souther and Kevin Perdue. We're not here this evening to change anything. I just want to begin with a very brief thank you. We appreciate the support that the county commissioners give us. We have noticed over the past few years your increased level of support and confidence, and we take that as a vote of confidence in what we are trying to do in the district. We're trying to be very efficient and very frugal with the funds that we have. I'll step away now and ask Mr. Perdue to go through the specific details, and then we will be here for any questions that you might have. Thank you, Mr. Perdue. Sorry.
All right. Hey, good evening. So before you, we gave quick memo request for our request for this year. There's no changes. I think you've seen everything before. This is just a consolidated memo. DPI is expecting us to have 119 additional students next year. So we are planning on funding for that. As well as 30% of the students in Vance County go to our charter schools. So any money that you do give us, 30% of that has to go to those charter schools. And I've listed those 3 top charter schools on the memo that you have in front of you, as well as how much that is per student, which is averages about $1,200 that goes to those charter school students. The state, when they passed their biennium budget last fall.
You're fine.
Okay. When they passed their budget last fall, they are saying that we're going to have a 3% increase in salary. That can change during this short session, as you know. So we don't know what that's going to be yet. But we do know that hospitalization insurance is going to go up by $538 per person next year. So that is going to be an increased expense for our school district for the next school year, as well as retirement. Right now, the budget says it would go down to 24.04% of salary, but that could change during this short session. For our capital outlay increase, on the maintenance side of things, we are requesting a $75,000 increase up to a total of $500,000. And then on the technology side, we're requesting a $25,000 increase. And that's just for inflation and increased cost of things nowadays. We do have in the works a roofing repair projects, and we are going to get started this summer with those. We have 2 schools already that we've identified, and we are going to fund from the sale of the property. Some things that we did, and Mr. Perdue can talk more about this as well, with the ESSER funding that we received from the federal government over the past 3 years. Some things that we did that the county does not have to pick up now is the replacement of HVAC units at most of our schools. We also did install outdoor learning environments so the kids can have classroom outside. And we did put playground equipment upgrades at all 10 of our elementary schools. Our total request is $10,600,000. This is an increase of $1.1 million from the current year. And then on that second sheet, you can see the breakdown per category for utility, a 5% increase for utilities, a $139,000 increase for additional ADM students, $90,000 increase for 5%, or we're budgeting 5% for salary and benefits. $620,000 need for the $2,500 local teacher supplement. That is because we now pay that out of Fund 2 and not Fund 8. And then there's a total increase of $100,000 in capital outlay. I'll be glad to entertain any questions, as well as Dr. Bennett and Mr. Purdue, if he will. Do you have anything to say you want to talk about on the capital outlay side?
Just would like to add that the ESSER's funding was a blessing to the school district. We invested as many dollars as we possibly could in replacing HVAC systems in our district. So all of our HVAC systems that were due to be replaced were replaced. So that's obviously a cost neutral situation to the county and to the district, because it was federal money that paid for that. So if it not had been for that money, we would certainly be asking in the near future for monies to do that type of work as well. So we just want to say that we were happy and grateful to get that money as well, and we're able to take that off the board, so that whereas we would have normally been repairing and trying to keep equipment running, we've got newer, more efficient equipment. So it's going to save tax dollars as it proceeds forward as well, because of the repairs for some time will be lower. But as Mr. Souther mentioned, we would like to start on the roof replacements, because the roofing in many of our district schools is well over 20 years now. So that's our big money thing that we need to look at for the future here forward, is getting the roofs replaced. And as Mr. Souther said, we'll be happy to answer any questions we could if you have for us.
How long have the teachers been receiving $2,500? How long have they been?
As far as our general ledger system goes back to 1999, and I've seen teachers receiving that amount in that year. So
in that place for-
25 years at least. Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, Carol.
I would say the 5% salary for your classified employees, or that the.
Yes, ma'am. That would be for the classified employees. Of course, the state will set the rates for the certified teachers and those certified employees.
My question I was going to ask, you have down here repairs and renovation from the lottery fund. So is that the total amount of lottery? How much lottery funds do we get? Do you get? I'm sorry.
That's fine. No, and we're not asking for anything for this coming year, 24, 25, but currently we have $2 million. Hold on one second. I can tell you really quickly. We have $1.2 million in the repairs and renovation lottery. And then in the lottery fund itself, we have 2.2 million.
So they're funded separate, for separate funding things?
Yes, sir. It's two separate funds.
And you're able to use not the lottery funding for repairs, but the 2.2 million lottery funds, that goes with, just give me a little idea what they go for.
I'm gonna let Mr. Purdue answer that.
So my quick understanding of the difference in the money, it's some of it is repair and renovation, and some of it could pay debt service, such as we apply annually to repay debt service for the multipurpose rooms and like Clark Elementary, those type of projects. So it's differentiated between new construction and repair of older buildings in that district.
I had some attention asking me and everything as to how does the lottery funds impact education? I understand what you're saying, but directly, what does the school benefit in terms from an instructional standpoint for lottery funds?
So that money, my basic interpretation of how that money comes back to the district is it comes from the state at a higher level. They differentiate the money and it comes back to the district, but it doesn't flow necessarily through the county. It comes to Ryan allotment annually from the state through that way. For some of the things, when you see the education lottery commercials on TV, when they show some activities taking place in school buildings and that sort of thing, they are already cutting the pie and sending it through other revenue back to the districts. Even though it's coming from the lottery, it doesn't come in a specific manner to us as this repair and renovation money does.
So it could be a needs-based grant with a very particular focus from the state. And they might say, this particular bucket of money is funded by lottery funds, and this is the purpose for that funding. But again, the only ones that we can truly say we could make local decisions about would be the basic lottery fund and the repair and renovation.
So it's not all this built up to be, because people want to know how is that lottery fund helping you deliver instruction to the kids?
We do not have the opportunity to hire staff or things like that. What we could do, and that might be helpful, let's make a note, please, that we would go to DPI and the funding that actually comes to us from the state and any funding that's tagged as originating through lottery funds and then the purpose for that. And that's something we could certainly share with you.
I think to consider that the people want to see that
Absolutely.
you're getting lottery funds to help the education.
Yes, sir. And then obviously with the ESSER funding we've had for the past 3 or 4 years, we've not tapped into those lottery funds. We've tried to save those for, later on when this ESSER funding runs out on September 30th, 2024. We were, of course, very beneficial and happy to receive those ESSER funding from the federal government. But now that that's going away at September 30th, 2024, this fall, lottery funds, we may start tapping into those lottery funds more now.
We're currently providing some lottery funds for some of our debt service, correct?
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so we're drawing.
And I think that's all that we use those
Yeah,
funds
we've
for
got-
currently,
Mhm.
just
I think what
debt
I'm
service.
asking is that, how does it impact the instruction?
I have a question. The bail bonds, the school board attorneys, the money that's collected supposed to go to the school. How much money was actually collected that was gave to y'all? Yeah.
The forfeiture and
Yes,
service.
forfeitures and fines, yes. And of course, that changes every month. We've approximately, I can't tell you off the top of my head, number, but we've received, I think, a little over $100,000 this year.
So far,
Yes, sir.
Now,
so how?
Fiscal year, July 3rd, since
It gotta be more than
July 1st.
100,000 now.
Pardon?
Gotta be more than 100,000. Got you.
We can get back with you. I can certainly look that up and we can send an email to Ms. Perry and Ms. Williams with that exact number we've received so far.
Dr. Bennett, the longevity, do you offer, is that offered to you, all of you, the classified and non-certified? Or just, I know it used to be just for the, classified, I believe.
Yes.
The reason I'm
Certified.
asking, do the teachers get that?
No, not
Not
anymore.
anymore.
That is
Reason I'm
something
asking, because it's a big to do thing going on, I'm from Franklin
in
County.
Franklin
working there.
County, absolutely.
And they meeting tonight, it's a big thing that they wanted the board to fund, which is a great thing,
It
they
is,
took their
it
COVID
is.
money for 3 years and they paid everybody in the, county from 0 to a certain amount of years, you got a certain amount of money, which, was great, but once the money ran out, so the superintendent been fighting. And reason I'm bringing it up because it's a wonderful thing.
It
It's
is.
a wonderful thing, and I see that the counties are losing a lot of teachers. And supplements, because of the supplements, because of the, the teachers' pay is
Sure.
not as great.
Sure.
So I was wondering, was it offered here as well as Franklin County? So, cause I think they trying to, what I'm hearing, they're gonna pass that $3 million budget to get that school, to keep their teachers
Sure.
and give them extra. So I was just wondering, was there anything extra that was offered to the teacher to try to keep? I know y'all got a $5,000 sign-on bonus, I believe.
Right.
And, so it's a hard thing trying to keep the teachers in the county. And so I just wanted to know, was that offered here like they did?
Right. We do not have a local longevity payment for all staff.
Mhm.
Now, through ESSERS, we did a nominal local longevity if you've
Mhm.
been here at least 3 years or 5 years, but it was minimal, not
Okay.
the percentage base that the state has provided over years. We tried to be very mindful of every dollar of ESSERS money that we spent on staff. And we did give some of the bonuses and things, but I'll be honest with you, we only had 7 people we hired with ESSERS money
Mhm.
because we did not want to bring in 50, 60 people and then have to let them go because
Yeah.
we knew we could not sustain it. So we were very meticulous, making sure that the bonuses and things that we gave were nice and people were happy to get them, but they did not receive them every year, nor did they get used to that $5,000, $7,000, $8,000 local longevity bonus or something that some of the other districts have provided. And it was great. I wish we could have,
Mhm.
but we felt that our HVAC systems and the other things that we did were more sustainable. And yes, we are receiving some teachers back from other districts because they left for those bonuses and now they're not getting them
Definitely,
there.
yeah.
And so they're coming
And I
back.
know supplement plays a big part in where
It does.
teachers desire to go, because your state salary is gonna be your state salary, but those supplement really draw the teachers into these counties, so.
They do. And as John mentioned, and the question was asked, over 20 years, yes, the staff here have received the $2,500. I will tell you, when the money now has to all be combined together and cannot be separated out, that $2,500 based on the current allotment will reduce the local supplement that we have to pay to well under $2,000 because we take the money, scoop the 30% off, send to charters, and what's left, we would then calculate what our local staff would be able to get. So right now, it's already going to go down with a variance in the 30% that we have to, even though it was designated as Vance County Schools supplement, it still has to be divided among the charters as well.
Tom?
Dr. Bennett.
I had a couple of questions.
Tom has-
Okay.
I had a couple of questions. First question that I had was the two schools that were sold. That money, where did that money go?
The money actually came to the district and is will be used for roofing, the first two priority roofing projects. And Kevin and John have those exact dollar amounts. But when the properties were sold, as the funding came to the district, then it was set aside immediately for the roofing projects, the first two on the list of priorities.
Well, the second thing I wanted to say was thank you for the job you're doing, outstanding what you're doing for the schools in this community in Vance County. And you've done a really good job. Now for one question for the future. That is, how many students do you have in school? I'm talking about, you have to fund some of the other schools. So what's the total number of students in Vance County in public school right now or charter?
In the public schools right now, we have a little over 5,000. We have, I would say since January, received applications for students transferring in of over 60. The state, so our number is increasing. The majority of those students, a few are coming from moving into the area, but we are also receiving students back from charter schools. So our number is increasing, and Warren County students are certainly applying to attend in our district as well.
So what you're telling me is that you're growing and you're increasing in the student population
Yes, sir.
for future.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank
We, at this time, have no school in danger of falling below the number of students enrolled where the state would question whether or not to fund a principal. We have a safe number in each of our schools, even the smallest of our schools. Because if you fall below a said number, the state, DPI will not fund a principal's position. We were concerned at one time. We are no longer concerned in that area.
And do you have rooms in those schools in the future for growth?
Absolutely. And that's exciting. You know, sometimes we say the small schools are a little troubling in that we wish we had more students. And we do. The other side of that is with the things that are taking place in the county and the potential growth to come, we don't have to build a new building
That's what I'm asking.
to be able to accommodate the new students who we hope will attend. We have growth spaces in most of our schools, not all of our schools. Some are at capacity, but we do have room for growth in a significant number of our schools. So we would not be coming to you saying we need for you to fund a fully new facility should we have another 150, 200 students in the next 2 years to come. We do have adequate space around the district. And we are an open enrollment district. And by that, we transport to the school in their attendance zone. But if a family wants their child to go into another one of the schools and they're willing to transport them themselves, by all means, that's allowed us to gain students and to keep students.
Thank you.
When you, when you look at your combination of local, state, and federal funding, how much more are Vance County schools getting per pupil than our surrounding counties?
As far as local dollars,
No, sir, as
On
far as the
total,
combination of
the
total dollars.
total, we are close to the top, especially with federal funding. That helps us a lot. We are definitely, if not the top, maybe the top two, maybe the second one or third one.
How far you're at the top?
Yes, and that, of course, that, like you said, that includes all three funding sources, federal, state, and local.
Right, so the per pupil funding in Vance County is greater than any of our surrounding counties.
Yes, sir. That would be a true statement.
Okay,
When you add all three together, yes, sir.
Absolutely. And so that's the picture that we give. We are very appreciative of our local funding. If you look local to local, we're not. If you look state to state, we're not, as far as funding. But then again, that combined funding, we're in a reasonable place compared to Warren, to Granville, and maybe even to Franklin. Now, those funding sources that take us to that upper echelon are also very limited as to what we can do with the funding, but we still are very appreciative of the funding that comes in. Some federal money, you cannot hire staff. You can only purchase certain things. You understand how all of that works. But again, we use every penny that we have as efficiently and effectively as we can, trying to make sure that our funding is spent on human capital when we need to hire people. But we have right-sized in staffing in a lot of places. That has been able to, that has helped us with some of the instructional materials, resources, and other things that we have needed that in the past we have not been able to purchase.
Dr. Bennett, I have two questions. One, when we look at, which is a good program, the early college program, you talk about the growth in the students. Who counts the students? Are those students, do you count, when you say you got a little over 5,000 students, are those students Vance Granville students? Are they public school students? How do you all share in terms of showing growth? It's a successful program and everything. So
Absolutely it is, sir. They count in our Avid Shaley membership. The community college also is able to count them based on the number of courses that they're enrolled in.
okay.
Okay,
Okay.
so it's a dual system there.
So it's part that, the students in that program is part of your 5,100 students you said
Yes,
you have
sir.
enrolled.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But the community college, again, gets to count them for their enrollment
Is
purposes.
that program growing for you or what? What's leveling?
It
off?
is growing just as much as it can. The space that we have at the community college is limited, so it does limit us to the number of students who are able to be in that program. We always have more apply than we can accept, even if they meet the credentials and the criteria, simply because of space.
That's a great program in terms of the end
Yes, it
result.
is.
Your associate degree.
Absolutely.
My last question for you, those of us at a meeting recently with some of your board members, been our ear in terms of monies for your non-teaching staff and everything. Is that any place in here and everything?
That's that, what I just asked for, the 90,000, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
The classified.
Classified, yeah,
Because they were adamant about,
yeah, yeah.
Come on, Ms.
And I'm-
Collins,
And the,
Ms. Collins,
yeah,
and Ms. Gooch.
the
That's
2,500,
now,
Right there.
the 9, okay, I got you. Okay.
would the 620,000 sustain the 2,500 or would it increase it? Would it just keep them at the
That
level?
would help sustain it. Yes, ma'am.
Help sustain it.
I would love to see them get an increase. Been for 1999.
But an increase of $90,000 for those salaried employees, what happens? Is that a request for the year going forward, or is that just a one-time kind of thing?
That's for us to sustain what the state is,
Sorry to miss.
what the state is mandating from their budget with right now at 3% increase. Of course, the state would fund their portion, but then on the local side, that's what that $90,000.
And this is for what group of people? Now make sure. I'm-
This is for our employees. We have 27 employees paid out of local funds. And so this is for those 27 employees who are paid out of local funds.
Okay.
Because of job titles, mainly because we cannot fund them in state or federal funds. They have to be funded through local.
And if I may say, sir, when you consider custodial staff, child nutrition is different. It's its own entity. It has to be self-sustaining, like its own little business. But when you consider custodial staff or some of Kevin's operational staff, many of those are paid out of local. And so when the state mandates an increase, then we have to find that increase here because they're paid out of local. They're not giving us the money for that. They're simply saying, here's the increase that's expected. And also remember when those salaries were increased by the General Assembly, and they should have been, it did cause salary compression because those newer to the positions were earning almost the very same per hourly rate as those who had been here 10, 12 years. So we're trying to decompress that just a little.
Okay. Thank y'all for being here and we'll
Thank you.
move on and continue our.
Again, thank you very much for your support. We very much feel it and we'll continue to do the very best we can with the funding that we have for the children in Vance County. Thank you.
And I will send the email to Ms. Perry about your question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brandon.
How are y'all?
Good evening.
Good evening, good evening. Myself, Brandon Link, President with the Fire Association, Kyle Wilkins, Vice President with the Fire Association, and Rob Montague, I'm our Secretary with the Vance County Fire Association. We wanted to come up on behalf of the departments of the county in reference to funding requests for fiscal year 24-25. Our request, we sent out, I believe, Manager Perry got that out to you guys. And I've got mine on my phone, so I'm gonna follow along with y'all and just go over it really quickly. This was something that we started discussing last year, not long after the fiscal year began, within the association and continued into this year. We have brought it up at meetings numerous times with unanimous voting on the request that we've asked from those that were present. Most of our funding, as you all are well aware, has stayed the same since, I believe, fiscal year 2019, 2020. And that is at 8.9 cents on the 100. The long and the short of it is no longer adequate for what we're doing. We knew when we were in this predicament, when we started with the volunteer or with the part-time staffing, that we were going to incur cost, and we've incurred a lot of cost. We spoke with several departments. We asked for information from all departments. We got information back from most departments pertaining to the funding request. So I'm going to go over with you all really quickly if you all want to follow along with the document that we sent, the main document for the request. And we'll start with that one. Obviously, the purpose of the fire service in Vance County and the association, prevent, educate, and provide exemplary fire protection services, technical rescue, and first responder life-saving medical care to the residents and visitors of all the fire districts within Vance County. The three goals that we identified were to successfully improve or maintain the existing ISO ratings throughout the fire districts. By accomplishing that, we would like to institute a fourth department on all structure fire dispatches and try to work with the departments to certify static water points that would help us with water flows, which is a big chunk of the ISO inspections. The second goal is to attract and hire more experienced and qualified part-time staff to further enhance our responses and build on what we've got. To do that, we would need to increase the part-time funding we're asking for up to 21 an hour. Not everybody's going to make 21 an hour. It's going to be tiered based on qualification. So you're going to kind of, if you go from 16 to 21, obviously you're going to be around 1850, which would allow us to attract more qualified and capable personnel. And the goal 3 was to alleviate the financial burdens of the nonprofit agencies to allow more opportunities to focus on the overall objective of life saving and property preservation. We'll accomplish that by providing additional equal funds to the departments who currently and may eventually operate a substation, as well as funding for recurring expenses. Obviously, when we speak, we're speaking on behalf of the fire departments and indirectly on behalf of the rescue squad. I say indirectly because we know their funding comes from the general fund and not out of the fire tax. So when we're representing the fire departments, we're representing the rescue squad as well, because we walk lockstep with what we're doing. 2023, we initiated a training committee with the Fire Association, which tonight we've got a training session. I think they've got a packed house, but last I heard, around 35 people at the college for a training session. Successfully participated in information gathering and compliance with the fire study that was conducted. In the process of setting up the Burn Children's chapter for Vance County, like Warren and Person counties has. And there was a total of 17 grant opportunities in the fiscal year that were presented by the state, with 12 applications, so 70.5% applied and 59% were awarded. Multiple other grants were sought after and various being approved, but that's just what we got from the state side. So we are doing our due diligence to try to find additional funding. It's just simply not guaranteed funding. The issues we're having, additional funding is needed to pay for capital purchases that have been identified and already implemented by multiple departments. Annual operating funding is needed to keep up with the rising cost of providing the services. Guidance and direction is needed as pertains to the county operated fire department that directly affects us in our ISO. And land acquisition and identification for the possibility of a training facility that we mentioned, I believe was mentioned during the fire study and has been mentioned by multiple commissioners. So our requests were to increase the funding to $175,000 per department, part-time hourly increase from 15 to a maximum of 21. Disbursement amongst the fire departments of the current fire tax fund balance, which is steadily growing due to the lapsed salary that goes back into it. Increase the rotating capital and fund balance paid down to a set number by helping us pay for some incurring costs that every department has, such as workers' comp that we've got to now carry, which we were just notified is going to go up more because we got to classify our people as part-time and not volunteers. Even if they're volunteers and they have been for 20 years, they got to be a part-timer. Our rosters that we got to renew, which roughly costs each department $1,000, and the reviews that have gone through the roof. Multiple departments in the county now use a third-party CPA out of Lewisburg, which is who a lot of our CPAs recommend us to, and they're behind. We haven't had a financial review. We turned in our stuff in 2023 for 22. We haven't had a review yet. They haven't even started the 22 review. They're that far behind. So they started looking for alternatives, and the alternatives they found are triple what we were paying. And that's numerous departments got that same result. So we're looking at $6,500 for a financial review opposed to about $2,500. So in essence, the $100,000 that we're getting this year, we're going to spend $20,000 of it just to pay our bills, not to pay the bills. You're looking at $6,500 for the 22 review, $6,500 for the 23 review, and $6,000 to pay our CPA, which obviously comes out to about $19,000. That leaves us $81,000 to operate off of. So currently, we all know we're at 8.9 cents on 100. That's what we were before. I know the recommendation showed it at a revenue neutral rate, which I think was about 3 cents lower. The part-time staff funding is roughly $880,000, not counting Vance County Fire Department. They're a little bit different because they got more staffing. Currently, we're turning in about 25% of that part-time salary. I refer to it as lap salary, but July 1st, Director Williams may have a better idea of how much money we're going to turn back into the fund balance on July 1st from what we haven't spent. Current the operating cost we know is $900,000. ISO ratings are a minimum of 6. The current sole rescue provider is Vance County Rescue Squad. There's other departments that's working on minimum requirements. There are 2 part-time personnel for each department. Let's see. So we compared with surrounding counties, and it was kind of staggering. Franklin County swamps us tremendously with what they're providing their departments. They're a little bit different. They got independent districts. So we went and we did an average across the 7 rural departments, not in counting the 4 towns. The 4 towns, Bunn, Lewisburg, Youngsville, and Franklinton. We didn't count those because they were off the charts. They were in the millions almost. So we didn't count them. It just didn't seem adequate. But all in all, their rates are going from 15 to 20 an hour, and they're over compensating by about $85,000 compared to where we're at. Granville County, they were the last horse in this race to jump on board with what we're doing, but they've got a system of where they've got different targets that they can pay. If you provide this service, you get this amount of money. If you provide this, you get that, et cetera, et cetera. They chose not to touch their fire tax this year, even though they had a reevaluation year, they decided to leave it where it was at. The glaring truth of all this, we did some research, average cost of American Family Now. We know times have gotten difficult. This was from Chase Bank, Forbes, and some other credible sources, about $6,000 a year. And most of us are running fire departments with 5 large apparatus, 30+ people, 5,000 square foot of space with $100,000 a year. Reviewing the financials from 3 departments that submitted them revealed an average of an approximately $55,000 increase in expenses over the last 4 years. The cost of oversight and just paying the parties to pay the bills is going to be over 13%. That's not counting those that were already behind from the previous year. And the majority of the departments will have to find alternate ways to start trying to cut costs to make it if we're going to continue providing the service that we provide. I can't speak for all the departments, but I know multiple departments go on lockouts for residents, maybe locked out of the house or maybe locked out of the car, lock the dog in the car. Trees is down in the roadways, stuff like that. We stay on scene for wrecks and motor vehicle collisions, but it may get to the point that we can't do that. We may have to refer it to other agencies because we simply won't be able to keep with the cost of doing that service. And it's not something we want to do. Our community, enjoys that. And I think all the other communities enjoy that and look forward to that too. So that was what we were looking for. We provided some letters. I believe we got letters back from manager, I can't remember, 5. It was 5 of the members that's represented in the association. We didn't ask for one from Henderson. They're a non-voting member. They were kind of an outlier. We didn't ask for one from Vance County because there again, that's a little bit different scenario. But 5 of the other 9 provided documentation, or majority provided documentation in support of what we were here to discuss tonight.
Appreciate y'all bringing that information before us. As y'all are aware, we've just received the fire study last week, and the committee is just starting to talk about that. So all these things will be considered as we go through this process. And so we don't want to get into an extended conversation tonight until we've had a chance to look at and digest everything. I know one thing that has come up that wasn't, and I don't know that there was any conversation or any research about it in the fire study, was the cost of these reviews. So we probably need to look and see what we need to do that would not put the county at risk as far as the minimal amount of financial review that you would need to do to try to get that cost down.
Correct. And I'm not sure. I know that Jeff Jones, the lead accountant that we use, they explained it to me quickly, and I'm sure you two know exactly what and several of you others may know it as well, that you've got a audit, a review, and a compilation. Even the compilation was over $3,000 if we settled for a compilation, which was higher than what we were paying for a review 2 years ago.
We'll get our staff to review that and see what alternatives we have there and present that to us. Sean?
I have a question. With all the requests, and I understand that things do go up and it's starting to cost more than normal. Are y'all aware that the fire tax and the revenue neutral will have to go up to accommodate these numbers that you are bringing?
We're aware. We're aware.
Are the fire departments aware?
They should be aware that it's been mentioned at the meetings numerous times that the fire tax would have to stay roughly where it was at to accommodate the needs of the districts and the services that we're providing. We started this back in August of last year when we knew the reevaluations were going to go through the roof. We tried to get ahead of it in August of last year.
Okay, and also my last statement, I don't know if it's a statement or question, might be a little bit of both, but when we did our last year, we put in for y'all to get a raise.
I think it was
Yeah, too.
frozen with
It
fire
was,
study.
it was frozen, but I think it went to 17 or 18.
It was,
It was 17 or 18, but,
what was recommended.
Went to 15.
huh?
We went from
13 to
14.
15.
There you go.
Yeah, that's what I said, because we had put in for 17.
Right.
What happened was,
And Catherine
all
and
got
the
frozen.
chief had put in for $1. That's why y'all ended up with 15. So my thing is it still gonna come on the table?
Yes. That'll be part of the review while we're doing the fire study.
See,
I'll
we
bet
tried to
so.
give y'all the raise. But they said $1. But then we went through the fire study, we went through the freeze,
So when you say they, who are you talking about?
the board.
No, I'm saying, who gave them the dollar raise? That's what I'm asking.
Chris and
Oh, so it was a
It was
different
proposed in
recommendation.
the budget for
Right.
a dollar raise.
Recommended by Jordan, the county manager at the time, Jordan.
It was
Okay.
recommended in the budget for
For
a dollar,
$1.
and the
Okay.
board was kind of leaning towards $2. But then we got into this big thing with the fire study and
Okay.
decided to stop everything until we got it resolved.
Okay.
Unfortunately, that fire study, instead of taking 5 months, is taking almost a year. So,
Let me ask you,
My
a question.
question.
You said a whole lot tonight. So my question to you is, all that was said, what is your number one concern?
My number one concern, and I believe the number one concern of the members of the association, is that without an increase in funding, we're not gonna be able to keep doing the services we are. We're gonna sink.
So
Um,
you
the-
think that part-timers raise their pay will make a big,
we believe that raising the money for the part-timers would, because you're losing people to neighboring counties. You look at Warren County, they just got on this boat last year and they're paying more already.
Mhm.
Granville County's paying more, sir.
how much are they paying?
Warren County is set at $16 an hour, no matter what.
Hold on. Hold
Yeah,
on.
they don't offer a range.
And I-
16 for one?
Mm-hmm.
How much
Sean,
for-
all this information we'll get, and we can get started and hang out numbers tonight, and we can be here an hour talking about these.
We ain't gonna be here an hour. I don't need but 2 more minutes. We ain't gonna be here an hour. What do Franklin get?
15 to 20, it just varies.
15 to 20? All right, and Granville,
16 to 18.
16,
And
to
it's a tiered
18.
structure. Certain certifications get you through.
and the last one is person.
We didn't compare person. They're kind of,
Okay,
yeah, we kept it within 4 counties.
and we at 15.
We're at 15.
Okay, thank you.
I want to ask one question from my understanding. When you talk about the costs that you're now having for audits and stuff like that, the cost is going up. Is that for each fire department is having to do that? Is that for the total?
Each department.
Each.
Each
Um,
department will have that kind of expense.
Yes, like case in point, he can speak for Epson. What was the difference in the truck from the time y'all got it approved and the time of the day? And the price, the way the price went up.
We ordered a truck June of last year.
Mhm.
And vendor we ordered the truck from called us 2 weeks ago and had spec'd the truck just like ours. And it went up $500,000.
For the same truck.
Yeah.
Same truck.
Same truck.
The
He
truck,
couldn't believe it.
the truck we ordered in December of 21 at Watkins,
Mhm.
646,000, is over 1.1 million today, if we ordered it today. So we got ahead of it because we kind of seen, they told us that the prices was going up. And there's other departments that's going through the same thing. There's one department, that's got one of the newer, trucks that was delivered up North Townsville. They got a newer truck. If they spec theirs out today, I don't know what the difference would be and what they paid for it because they got it pre-COVID, I believe. It was right there in that time frame before everything went astronomical. Drury's been told the same thing. I think their truck was like 700. It's around 1.4 million per the chief of Drury if they ordered it now. So that's what we're seeing with everything.
I
So
understand the cost, what you're saying, but you jump to that, but the audit thing is really is detrimental to the fire departments, right?
yes, sir, we've got to have it.
You gotta have it, but at the same time, you're looking, $6,000 between every fire department's gotta pay that, right?
That's what that's what we're seeing the average has been from the
That's
ones
on a
we
yearly
spoke to.
basis or every so many years?
Yearly.
They were about $1,400, I think now they were about 1,400.
It was at 14?
My other question along what he's saying about,
6,000?
are you finding there are people out there to do it now? Because what I'm an organization that I'm members of, to find somebody to do audits and everything now, people are not jumping on the bandwagon to do them.
Sure.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the.
That is
that's
true.
why it's-
That's why it's so high now.
Uh,
That's why it's so high now.
Nobody
yeah.
wants to government audit.
Yeah. And I do have 2 questions. So the first question, you talked about wanting to increase the hourly rate up to 21. So will you create some type of system that, I guess, looks at education, certifications, and also just create some type of equity system to ensure that there's no
volunteer truck.
Yeah, okay, all right. And so, you also, we've had conversations about staffing and turning in additional, like, I guess, funding. So how does that affect, the volunteer departments as far as like not being able to hire volunteers? I know what the impact is, but I just want to hear it.
Well, we had a scenario just this morning, over off of Vance Academy Road that, we were dispatched out to a structure fire, very large residential structure, very large, I mean, upwards of 15,000 square foot. And, 911 call come in, it was adequate. We kind of review this stuff. We call these hot calls. We kind of look at it. We got a few different people that, we got inquisitive minds. 911 call handled, 2 minutes, we were dispatched, 15 seconds, we had a truck en route. We only had one person working today though. We didn't have two. One of the neighboring departments had nobody working. They just couldn't get them in there. So we were able to get there adequately. The county fire department was dispatched there, obviously, because it was dispatched as a structure fire. They arrived 30 seconds behind us with 3 people. They canceled the truck they had en route because we were able to identify it. So that was our support. That was the only support we had, was the 3 on that truck. The 4th department that we have engaged with trying to get a 4th department dispatch is a work in progress, I understand. But there was 2 people at Kittrell that would have been able to respond, but we don't have the 4th department in place yet. There was 3 people at the city of Henderson that, per our automatic aid agreement, that we're waiting on approval for, that would have responded. But we're not quite at that point. So that was a scenario just this morning where, our staffing was less than what we would like. I don't mean to sound unappreciative when I say this. The staffing was tremendously better than what it would have been 5 years ago. So obviously we're in the right direction. Clearly we're in the right direction. But it's not what it could have been. We feel if we could have more of an initiative or incentive for people to come and want to work at these departments at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Monday.
And that's due not to having part-timers, right?
Ma'am,
Because you had no part-timers on duties.
we had one at our station at Watkins.
You said some didn't have any?
Some didn't have any. But one of the departments 2 of the departments had staffing, but they're not in the matrix to be dispatched quite yet as a 4th department. But if we can get them in there, then they would be.
So, it's a crazy question. So due to not having part-timers, so no one was at that station?
We had one at our station and he was there with a truck.
The other station, no one was on duty.
The other station, no one was, they were directly relying on the volunteers at 9 o'clock in the morning, which was our main emphasis from most of the members on this board while we got the part-time staffing was in that identified time frame of 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So this was at 9:45. So we did have one, luckily, one of the automatic aid departments had nobody. The county fire department had 3 paid full-time career people that came. And then the other 2 departments that could have been automatic aid. One of them had 2, one of them had 3, but they weren't on the dispatch.
All right, thank y'all.
Ready?
I think so.
Okay.
See the other fire department? I think
No,
it's-
that's it.
Okay, let's
That's
see.
all the people that are going to present tonight, and from now on, we'll be working at it from right here.
Okay.
No.
So, I'll have Stephanie, there were a few things that we changed, just because there were some errors in the proposed budget. So there are a few things that Stephanie will let you all know that changed, that we would like to make you aware of. There was some, not grammatical errors, but there were some number errors in the original information, and I have packets for everyone. Oh, yeah. Okay, I'll pass it on. Why you want to go ahead and go over it?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I got you. And everything is in red, I believe, the changes, I think.
Oh, no, they're all,
Oh, okay.
some are negative, some are positive.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's these are replacement pages at some point if you all want to. Just replace them in your book.
So the dollar amount of the overall difference from what you were previously given to what, the changes was like $63,382. Majority of the changes were a result of the calculation in retirement for this upcoming year. For staff is gonna be 13.65%, but for the sheriff and jail office is going to be 15.04%.
Thank you, ma'am.
So the elections, for the elections department, that change of, I'm sorry. She's
You want this
passing out the
sheet?
sheets, yeah. So this is just a summary. Yeah, Renee also is passing out the individual sheets that would need to be replaced in your book. But I did this overall summary sheet.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Mhm.
Okay, so if it's red, that's a savings and the number is different, black is a increase.
So no, no, I did what we had recommend, what was revised and then the prior submission. So the red is actually, it's going up. The way it's listed here.
I think it's removed.
Yeah.
Like, okay, all
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, so I'm taking what's on the new sheets today versus what you were previously given.
Renee,
Yes, sir.
when I look at this, when you do parentheses, is these red figures going up or going down? Because normally when you put parentheses, it means going down.
It's decreasing. So, yeah, it's decreasing. That's correct.
These are decreases?
Yeah, right? Cause like if you look at.
No,
Negative revenue.
yeah, not,
Huh?
It's a negative revenue. Right?
so what I did, you were previously given, so you have a new sheet. So
Okay.
there's a revised 24-25 recommended. That's the revised.
I'm so confused.
All
Okay.
right, pick a line, elections.
Yeah,
4:30.
pick election.
Election.
So what you were previously given in the elections, it was $418,535. That's what you were previously given.
Uh-huh.
Okay, what we are revising based upon,
Okay,
I don't know.
yeah,
I
it's.
understand. Okay, I get what
He's
you're saying.
taking
Yeah.
away- The red is taken away.
So it's reducing the budget.
Yeah, we had,
It's reducing that department's budget by that amount. Like, so if, like, for example, it's like if I look at tax, so I just want to use tax just because I remember this example. So my initial, recommended budget included a vehicle for tax. And I did not want that included in your recommended budget. So that budget is going to be reduced by $32,000.
All right, so all this is
Yes.
So-
expense side stuff. This is
Yes.
not revenue side.
Correct. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. Yes, sir.
Okay,
The red is reduced.
And it's decreasing.
It's less.
reduce. This
Yes.
is an expense side.
Mhm.
This isn't the revenue side.
Yeah, that's why it's in parentheses because we're reducing it.
All right.
So do we need to go line by line with those for y'all? You want us to? I mean, because we can.
I don't think so.
I'm guessing like on the
Do-
big one, you
do the
see
red.
67,000, that's on cooperative extension. I'm assuming that's where you took the van out.
Correct. That's correct.
Okay.
Mhm. Yep, that's right.
Okay.
The ban out.
Uh-huh, yes. It was included in my proposed budget in error.
She could just go over the red,
Okay.
show the new numbers, and you ain't gotta do the rest.
Oh, okay. That's up to you.
That's
You wanna do that?
My opinion.
Okay.
Just
some
do the
numbers
red so
and
they have any
change.
questions.
So the,
I mean, we sit here and look at them and they're no big numbers, really. I mean.
yeah, the overall is just a difference of $63,382. The overall.
It's the only difference.
Can
Okay.
can you tell me
Yes, sir.
synopsis of why these changed all at one time? What happened? That's all.
So Chuck was working on my budget for me. And so Chuck created my budget for me before I was able to sit down and actually look at each line item. So after we presented it to you all, we went back through it again just to make sure. And I'm like, oh, I didn't want that in
You
there.
and
So
Chuck, you and Chuck
Correct.
went through it.
we did, yeah. I finally had the opportunity to sit, yeah.
That's perfect.
Most of the increases were due to miscalculations in retirement.
Retirement rate,
Yeah,
yes.
in the retirement rate. There were some formulas that were wrong in the spreadsheet.
Okay.
And the spreadsheet is something that has been used over years. And so next year we will create a fresh spreadsheet. Yes. Yeah. Everybody okay with those
Yes.
changes? Y'all okay with it? Okay. And I don't know how you all did work sessions.
So this
Pre-
is just kind of, this right here is just a summary of where it changed.
Yeah,
What's
it
this
is
page?
additional sheets. Yes, sir.
Back in the book.
Mhm, yeah.
Okay.
And so there were some things that I've heard from several commissioners that that we needed to discuss during these work sessions. So there were several commissioners that wanted to discuss revaluation cycle change. So I did some research and just for you all to have the information, there are 31 counties that are on an 8-year cycle. The other 69 counties are on a cycle that is less than 8.
4-year cycle.
No, 4, 6, some are 7, because you just have to do it every 8. So you don't have to do it every 4, but there are counties that do it every 4 as well. And I have that printout for the state's information as well.
While you looking for that, I'm gonna ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
What is the tax revow for every 4 years
What is the
if we was to switch?
what the cost? What is the cost?
Yes, ma'am.
700. So I talked to Ryan Vincent with Vincent Valuations if we decided to go that route, and it's $702,000. It would be every 4 years. And in the current budget, we budgeted for $200,000. Just because that's what we budgeted for 4 years, if you all want to go that route.
You said
If
for
not-
4 years is 700.
702.
So what is it for 8?
It's the same, it's the same thing.
I already said, what the world?
Yeah, it's the same thing.
You're gonna
Mhm.
spend $700,000 more
Either-
every 8 years
Mhm.
to get nothing.
I won't say you won't get nothing, but I think
You're gonna spend $700,000 more every 8 years to get nothing.
I just think it prevents us from having this big impact like we had this
Oh.
year.
I mean, Raleigh, they did it 2 years ago.
Yeah, Wake County is on an every 2-year cycle.
Exactly. They went up 35% in 2 years.
What's Wake County though?
Wake County,
That's
that's
Wake County, yeah.
but the whole market did
Yeah.
that.
Use a small county like ours, it's not a big county, sir.
Everybody did. I mean, most counties did that in this last 2 years. I mean, the government threw billions of dollars out there and people just, let's go spend it.
When we go to every 4 years, then we'll create some of these major issues that we have in every 8 years. Raising taxes, fire taxes, the revenue. Things do have to go up.
You're spending $700,000 of the taxpayers' money that you don't need to spend.
Well, every 8 years,
Suggesting you stay 8.
I'm suggesting we stay 8.
Because it's gonna be 700,
702 every 4.
every 4 years.
Mhm.
All-
Like
all-
14,000 in 8 years.
put
versus
$500
seven.
million on the machine.
All the tax evaluation does is it identifies changes in geographical areas of the market throughout the county. That just means like if Kittrell grows faster than Williamsboro, it's gonna pick that up. But you got the same amount of tax base. You got to have that 22 or $26 million, whatever it is with vehicles and everything. You're gonna have that same tax base. You gotta collect the same amount of money. It just gives you a benchmark to go by. And our markets haven't been shifting that much. And if you look at any projections in the real estate, we're not, this drastic change is something that's happened, Tommy, probably once in a lifetime?
Your problem is in business, if you're gonna do something, you want a return for your investment.
Mm.
And my feeling is, as far as that's concerned, you're spending $700,000. If you're not gonna end up getting return for that $700,000 and your values are not gonna be higher, why spend the money?
So it's a
It's
consensus.
simple.
at 8?
If you're gonna end up spending $700,000 to get $300,000 or $400,000, then you're going in the hole. Period.
So what you think? Ms. Renee?
I think my recommendation would not be 8, but it would be something less than 8. So maybe not every 4, but maybe every 6.
I mean, I still don't see it. I just.
Yeah.
6?
I mean, because we don't know when we'll ever have a year like 2020 or 2021 again, but I mean,
Let me ask you this. This issue can come up any years from the reevaluation.
Mhm. Yes, sir.
So in essence, you could be looking at this now, or you could be looking at this next year, or
Mhm.
next year.
Yes, sir.
Or next year.
Yeah, we just need to make sure we're properly budgeting for it. just to make sure we have enough funds, but I don't think that'll be an issue.
We
Then
could,
you change the
Yeah.
budget.
Mhm.
we-
Right,
we could say 6 years from now, well, this market just actually took off again. We
Mhm.
want to do it this year.
Yeah.
And we can do it.
yeah, you can do it at any time. You
Yeah.
change it
A lot
anytime.
of the problem was that people saw increase in valuation, but they didn't understand the concept of
Concept,
revenue.
yeah.
Well, mhm.
That's right.
And once,
Yeah.
people started to understand the concept of revenue neutral, there were less complaints.
Right,
And
So
so
the
even if we
education
had a
piece.
study in the next 4 years, we're still gonna have to adjust it based on the revenue neutral standard. So it's still probably gonna come out the same thing. It's gonna go up, it's gonna go down,
Yeah.
depending on what the market is going at that particular point in time.
right,
So what we look at is, do we anticipate that the market's gonna go up again?
yeah,
Or is if it gonna stay the same, then like Thomas said, we just lost
Yeah.
$100,000.
right.
Can I ask this question?
Mhm.
Since I know very little about real estate and the cost of doing revenue neutral. Is it something that's required by law that you do it?
Oh, yeah, what, the revaluation?
Uh-huh.
Yes, sir, every 8 years at a minimum.
Because what I'm hearing is that a group of real estate folks will get together and tell you what's happening, and you wouldn't have to spend the money.
Oh, yeah, no, we have to by law.
Revaluation.
General statute said we have to. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
you know, because they know the market,
Yeah, right.
they know the market, they know
Yeah.
what's going.
Mm-hmm,
And, you know, we know the prices in this area are increasing.
mm-hmm.
The study didn't have to tell us.
We can't
The study
grow.
didn't have to tell us that. We all knew that what stuff was going for.
We need jails, we need fire stations, we need trucks, we need more money. You know, there's no way that we can grow standing still. Every county is progressing. We finding every reason not to progress than to keep up with time. Time ain't changing.
What are you finding in terms of around us, like Franklin, Granville, Vance, and Warren? What are they doing? Are they gonna stay 8 years, 4 years?
So Franklin is every 6. Granville is, right now 6. I don't know if they switched or not because this is a reval year for them. Halifax is every 4. Warren County is 8. Their reval is 2025. Person County is every 4. What's another county around us? I'm missing something. Nash is every 7. Edgecombe is every 7. I'm just trying to think of other counties that are around us. So it's all over the place.
Yeah.
It's 31 counties in the state of North Carolina that are 8-year right now, including that.
Mm.
31. The other 69 counties choose to do something less than every 8 years,
I think we should look between 8 and 4, somewhere.
between 4 and 8.
But South Florida.
Yeah.
Edgecombe's the only one at 8.
I don't think we should wait 8
Warren
years.
County, not
If you look at where we are on the growth chart as far as counties,
At the,
we're 91st or 2nd.
at the bottom.
And so that means that we're not as volatile as some of these other counties that are doing these things. And it doesn't make math sense to me, to put that burden on the taxpayers.
I don't see a burden, but that's my opinion.
You want to write the $700,000 check?
I can write half of it. How much you can write?
So I just need some type of consensus of what to bring back to you all in a,
'Cause
A
that means
budget.
in 4 years, they can go up, taxes go up again for them.
They can
yeah.
work without a
When they
revised.
are without revise.
Yeah,
So
right.
understanding now the 8 year, because I think, like I said, people are educated more now to
Yeah,
understand.
the education piece is different now, yeah.
And I understand like this 14, this what, 7,000,
And I understand the cost, but I think there's also a cost with just running government anyway. I mean, I know 700,000 is a lot of money, but there's just a cost associated with government. So I guess I just see it differently.
Tommy, you 8?
My opinion, I'm concerned about what happens I would rather wait a while and see. We could do this next year.
That's what I was about to say.
you know.
That's exactly what I was about
So
to say.
right now,
Wait and see
Yeah.
what we're talking about as
Okay.
far as values of
Okay.
12 months from now.
Okay.
And then make a decision because I think you're making it too quick.
so right now you're saying, hold on. let's
Hold
stay
on
our 8
today.
year. Let's stay
Okay.
on our 8 year and we'll look at it as time progresses.
I think we
Okay.
need to
No,
tell
we
Renee,
look
look
at
at it
next
next
year.
year.
We
Look at it next year, whatever. Okay.
And then
What-
and then get an average or see what's going up. And I don't think you're gonna see, and I may be wrong now, but I don't think you're gonna see the change that you've had in the next years that you've had now. I just don't see that.
I think you're gonna see flat to maybe a 10% decline.
Well, I think we should look at it next year.
Okay.
For a change, but like, Mr. Hester said, we need to go ahead on it, now that we are aware of the small details and everybody else is aware of the small details, we can pay attention. So when it's come up next year, we all will be more educated.
Okay.
One thing I would suggest is also that we
Archie,
consult
what you
the tax
think?
office to see what kind of payment plans
Mhm.
may be possible to put in place to ease the burden of the taxpayer, whether they're trying to come up with the
Yeah.
increase all at one time, then maybe there's some kind of formula that they can use.
We-
that
we
they
are-
can pay
I think we,
We already have that.
yeah, we do.
Already have
We
that.
do.
They
It's
can-
already in place.
Not
Yeah.
monthly payments, I mean,
Well, you gotta be paid by year end, so that's about all you can do.
Archie, what you think? You the only one ain't said nothing.
the other counties.
Okay.
You know,
All right.
Yeah, yes, sir.
He likes to-
Hold on, wait a minute. Hold on. Archie has a question.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
I just have to turn over on the back.
Yeah, let me.
I got a question about
Oh, is your
this.
microphone on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got a question about this
Archie, we can't
veteran.
hear you over here.
They can't hear you.
I'm on the sheet that we just left.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Okay,
You had the sheet in front of the microphone.
and if you turn over on the back, which I did, and I have a question about the veteran services decrease. And when I read it, it says regular salaries were reduced. And that seems like the only area in which salaries were reduced. Would you explain in more detail?
It was
what's going
reduced
on there?
because there was a reclassification request that came from Veteran Services that should not have been included in my proposed budget. So we went back and redid the calculations without the reclassification.
So you
So
took
that's the only-
reclassification
I
out?
did. I did. Just
Again?
because the plan is to fund a pay study, and I would rather PTRC be the experts on reclassifications and what job titles should be.
Okay.
If you all decide to approve
That's
the
fine.
pay study. Yes,
Well, I
that's,
just wanted to know what it was. I mean, it says salary decrease. I was
Yeah.
wondering what was going on.
it was due to a
So it
reclassification.
wasn't really a salary decrease.
Yeah, it was just a
because the salary
miscalculation.
had never gotten there.
Correct, right,
That's what you're telling me.
right.
They
That's
were
right,
proposing an increase in the salary, which you were saying was a no-go.
correct.
Okay. And what's the yellow?
The final number,
Oh, that's
I-
the total
I was
budget.
just, yeah, highlighting, because that's what was,
that's the last.
That's the
number.
total
previously
budget.
was.
That's
all.
everything.
Yes,
Yeah, that's your total budget,
previously.
previous
Okay.
budget.
Yeah.
Okay. Papers everywhere. Okay, so we keeping it at 8, right?
Yeah.
And revisit next year.
Correct.
Okay, all right. Okay, the next thing is McGregor Hall request. I received a $60,000 request to fund McGregor Hall. And so everyone should have that in front of you. And so I just wanted to open that up for discussion. The city of Henderson funded, I talked to Terrell last week and they funded McGregor Hall $5,000. But they funded them $5,000 because there was a piece of land that was sold, I think, and
Yes.
it was like $250,000. And so that's why they decided to reduce the amount that they were going to fund McGregor Hall. But I believe that there was going to be an option for more funding had they not sold the land. I think, I can't remember for sure. Is that,
I thought the total they got was 275,000. But you counted the land and the five.
oh, okay, okay,
You count
So-
the land- you count the land and the five that they bought.
okay. It's 275. Okay. So well, I know the 5,000 is what the city is going to contribute. So, okay.
Thousand is part of the 275, Tommy?
Mhm. Yeah,
Land-
total.
Yes,
Okay.
So-
The 5,000 is part of the 275.
Yes, sir.
yes.
Okay.
All right, Archie.
Now, what were you saying about the 5,000 being part?
Part of the $275,000.
Well, I look at that as two different things. That's not one, I look at that as two different transactions, one of which I think they were talking about grant, some sort of a grant proposal. My point being, my point being,
One
Tommy,
of them is money that they're granting, and the other one is the money that McGregor Hall was land that was donated to McGregor Hall. And McGregor Hall got that land in the middle of Faulkner Building Supply. And so the county, the city is buying that to remodel and upgrade.
Yeah, but my point here is that the city is only giving McGregor, or granting, however you want to call it, but giving McGregor Hall $5,000 this year. That's what they're giving.
Yeah.
In terms of their budget, $5,000. That's all they're giving McGregor Hall. The other is they're selling, or they're buying from McGregor Hall property for 200 and, numbers I've heard was 270 or $280,000. But that's the sale of a piece of property to McGregor Hall, which is not the same thing as money coming out of the budget for McGregor Hall. All that's coming out of their budget for McGregor Hall is $5,000.
Okay, so your point is?
Okay, well, I mean, since you want to talk about what the city is giving, that's all I'm talking
So,
about.
but the 270 is they giving, because they bought land from,
No, in their budget workup, they're giving McGregor Hall $5,000.
Yeah, I understand the 5,000.
Okay, now the other amount of money is they're buying from McGregor Hall some property
Okay.
to the tune of about 275 or 80,000, whatever.
I feel like they giving 275 for the fact that they buying some land to add with the 5, they
That's
giving out the
right.
budget. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah, that's what they think,
So,
you know,
okay.
but the point is, they're really not contributing out of their budget.
But
$5,000. That's it. And you have to think about it that way,
Mhm.
Well, the way I
because
think
that's
about
a
it,
different way of looking at it than it is to say they're giving 275,000.
well, it's another way to look at it too, Archie. McGregor Hall went to them and asked them, we know, we need X, Y, Z. And they came back with a counter offer, well, we'll give you this if you sell us that. So they still got what they were looking for, they just went about it a different way.
Well, they had agreed to buy this property 3 years ago. They were expecting to get a grant from the state and they didn't get the money from the state. And so therefore, yeah, they weren't sure they were gonna do this to begin with. But this is really an argument that's not worth discussing. You know,
Yeah.
the bottom line is they're going to get 275 or 280, however they get it. But I just wanted to make sure that when we looked at what they were giving McGregor Hall out of their budget, the number is $5,000.
What's your number then? Let's get to the grits and pain.
Well, the proposal is in there right up here.
Yeah, they're,
Right up here.
yeah, they're requesting $60,000.
And in their proposal, you know, they're asking us to, they have $124,000 loan payment every year. And they're asking us if we would pay the interest on it, which is $38,000. They would like for the county to give them the $38,000 to pay the interest on that $124,000 loan they have to come up with.
I thought that.
And they're asking that and they also have to do an audit every year, which is another 20,000.
I thought, they're asking for 60,000.
Correct,
Yeah.
right,
They're
60,000.
He
asking
just
for,
going about it the long way.
they're asking for $38,000 to pay the interest on their loan. And then they're asking for an additional 20,000 to pay for the audit that they have to do every year. That's $58,000. That's what they're asking for here.
No, the request is for
And we
60.
threw in another $2,000 because
Okay.
the interest, I mean, the inflation rate on audits is $20,000 today. It might be 21,000 or whatever. I mean, you know, that's what,
Hey,
that's what the extra $2,000 for. So it pushed from
appreciate the
58
breakdown, I
to
really do.
60,000.
I got it. Look, let me say this. McGregor Hall is one of the finest jewels we got in this community. And being a tier 1 county and moving forward, I'm totally for doing whatever we can to help McGregor Hall. And I think that you go to any restaurant anywhere in this town, whenever they got something going on, and you'll see 3 to 4 times the number of people there in the restaurants. Because they're really working hard to do what they can. And obviously, city and the county ought to do as much as they possibly can for that facility.
My question is, Renee, can we afford to help in terms of budget?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yes, sir.
Like
We
Tommy
can.
said, I go
Yeah,
by
we
Gregor
can.
Hall Sunday afternoon and
Yeah.
you should see the kids and the young people. I think it's a great economic engine for this county. So if we can help them, I have no problems with it.
So, if we decide to move forward, they're requesting an annual allocation, so I would suggest or recommend one time, and then we determine how
I would.
to,
I would agree with
move forward. I wouldn't commit to annual, just, budget year by budget, like we do everything else for outside funding.
McGregor Hall was created with an endowment. And when it was built and created, they said they would never ask for money from the city or the county.
And they also had a $3.2 million, somebody said they were gonna give the money to McGregor Hall and the guy backed out.
And
And they went back and have worked in their bones to
Um,
death to get put on the shows they put on up there. And I'm telling you right now, it's one of the jewels of this county.
And to me, they need to have, the revenues need to be coming in to make it self-supporting.
They have shown that they are working.
They're
hard
doing
at
some
this.
good programming there. They are,
They are.
but the
showing-
revenues aren't there.
Well,
And I just, we got a lot of needs in this county that go unanswered. Or, we get to that level of contributions. And I just,
Well, Dan, I've heard that story too, and you will know as well as I do where that story came from in terms of people that had deep pockets going to help, but it has survived through all that. It has survived in the community and it's provided a valuable culture outlet for this community. And sometimes you have to say, people say things and everything because people say things like that, but we don't need your money and everything. In essence, we look down in Nash, what's the county that the Dolly Parton thing went in terms of?
Roanoke Rapids, Halifax County.
Ronald Rapids, but
Mhm.
this has been
Yeah.
a jewel, this has been a jewel, and I've gone to things there and to see the cultural events that take place, the new people that participate, it's a wide spectrum of this community.
And it
Like-
brings me
like
great
Hispanic,
joy when I go
anything.
there and see my grandbabies. I've seen 2 years performing in there.
Mm.
You know, I can't see one time being an issue for me. I'm just saying, I enjoy,
Well-
I enjoy it.
You say you enjoy me?
When I see my grandbabies up there,
Yeah,
performing,
Mm.
on that stage.
Yes.
You just grin from ear
I'm
to ear,
happy.
right?
Now,
And the good thing about what you said, Commissioner Faines, is I don't want to use the word kids, let's say the young people in our community, and I'm talking about elementary and even high school, don't get the opportunity to see the kind of theater
Yeah.
entertainment while they're young in this county. That would give them some vision for wanting to do other things. And so you're right. And I think the parents get a big thing out of McGregor Hall when we have the Arts Alive every year and the students on the stage and all of that sort of thing. So I concur with what you're saying there.
well,
Is there a way that you can give
I
us
was the one
a
that had.
breakdown of how much we have
came up with this
contributed in the last 5 years?
Contributed to,
McGregor Hall?
I don't think have we ever given funding to McGregor Hall?
No, but
Yeah, a small amount.
And the-
Okay, yeah, we can.
Economic impact studies. And
Giving them something.
Yes.
No, we haven't. No, we've never.
We never give it up?
We
No.
voted no
Yeah.
on that
Oh,
time.
that's, I thought
I know
that,
it came up.
We gave the
Yeah, we never
library.
funded
the money,
McGregor Hall.
We changed our percentages. So
Dan,
we've
too.
never given McGregor Hall anything.
I know we.
Well-
Well, the point is, our commissioner, our manager says we can afford this, so I don't know what.
And you'd be impressed, I'm sure Sean is, again, I'm for like Carolyn said in terms of kids, you'd be impressed when you see the school kids coming in, how they stagger and bust those kids come in and see plays and stuff like that and get them in and out. It's awesome.
And the schools provide funding for those productions, and that's a revenue.
Well, that cannot
And
come,
so it
from-
needs to run like a business and operate like a
well,
business.
we need to help it.
well.
The numbers in the study, really stand for themselves when it talks about our restaurants get $9.29 million in revenues in our restaurant industry, another $5 million in our hotel industry. When you go down these numbers, and it's like a no-brainer to me. They're bringing in the kinds of revenue.
All right, I'm gonna put the closing on this. I was the one that went to McGregor Hall and had a conversation. The numbers that they asked for was outrageous. And if y'all know me, I have a plan A and a plan B. The city did not come through with what the original plan was. They ended up doing something totally different. So we ended up with 60,000 to pay, help them pay their taxes and their revenues for 1 year, and next year we'll revamp it. But the plan was for the city manager and the county manager to have that conversation going forward to see if we had the revenue to keep doing it year after year. But the way that all of this started is not the way that it finished. So we left holding the bag with 60,000 to help them. That's how I went down.
So what's the consensus of
Yeah,
the board?
I just need a
I say 1 year, do it for 1 year. Then when they do the budget, they can say if we got it, we don't got it, then we'll revamp the whole conversation all over again.
I'm with you.
I'm with you.
support it.
Okay.
Y'all support it.
Next.
Okay. So I'll jump to carts really quick. Got a phone call from Terrell and Mr. Cantor as it relates to their round the town shuttle. And so apparently there were signs being placed on the shuttles that said that that service would end June 30. And so of course, some of the citizens of Vance County are very upset, or Henderson are upset about that. So the ridership does not support the funding that's needed for Round the Town shuttle. And so the city is not funding it, but they need $75,000 in order to support that until they could possibly obtain a grant next year. Don't know if they'll receive the grant, but Mr. Cantor did reach out just to see if there are any options for.
What's your opinion?
I have a question before you give your, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut nobody off.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Sean.
Oh, thank you. Parks is 99% in the city,
Right.
correct?
Yeah,
But the city,
it's round the town, it's Round Town shuttle. This is what this
This
is.
is different.
This is different.
Different.
This is just around Henderson.
I thought you said car.
It's a managed through carts, but it's a separate entity.
Yeah.
Around.
It's a book that's on the round.
Yeah, I've seen them before.
Say, service and cars.
Shuttles and park bus are different, right?
Yeah.
It's the city.
Carts operates in 4 or 5 counties.
Yeah.
Round Town shuttle
The bus stop is
basically
different.
does
So
in
that's
town.
fine.
Yeah, right.
Well, we
Like
talking
a bus
about,
stop.
Yeah.
we talking about the shuttle in town,
In town.
just like I just said, in town.
Yeah, yeah,
But the
city,
city don't want it.
Inside
Yeah.
the city.
right.
So how the
City.
city don't want to support something? but they
Yeah,
pick it up?
yeah. And well, I think when I had the conversation with Terrell, they did not put in his initial budget. He had not talked to his mayor and the rest of
We
his
did
board.
$275,000 in the initial budget either. Let me go give me some water.
Give me one.
We need a break?
Anybody else?
On break?
Yeah.
Renee, what's your
I don't know if I have a recommendation. If the city would have split it in half, maybe half and half, because I think it would be great to have it around town, but if the city would have helped with the funding, I would say I would support it, but us doing the whole 75, and I just don't know if it's sustainable. I would hate for us to fund that and then moving forward, there's no option if they don't receive the grant, that makes any sense.
My understanding
Yeah.
is that long-term it's not sustainable.
Right, correct. And I don't think it is. Thank you.
Anybody?
Can I say something here? May I say something here,
Okay, wait a minute.
Mr. Chairman?
No, thank you.
Oh, you got some.
Mr. Chairman, can I say something?
Yes, sir.
So when it comes to the Round Town shuttle, this community needs Round Town shuttle or something like it to support the class of society that gets around town on a public transportation. We need to somehow try to figure out how to maintain that. Now, that having been said, it's my understanding that it costs about $75,000 a year for carts to maintain the Round Town shuttle. Before the pandemic, we had ridership that would equal that cost. The cost to operate it and the citizens riding it, it was just about a wash. But now, since COVID, it's costing carts $75,000 and the ridership is down to the point where it does not support the cost of operating. Understand that. Carts put a sign or something in the Round Town shuttle mid-month last month, May, saying the service would be terminated July 1st. I don't think that that's fair to the citizens who need the round town shuttle to get around. That's less than 60 days termination. What I think is, and I agree, Dan, that right now it's not sustainable, but what I think we need to subsidize that, preferably for a year, but certainly for no less than 6 months. And while we advertise the fact that if ridership doesn't go up, we will have to terminate the service and give then the citizens of Henderson opportunity to increase that ridership to sustain it, or it'll have to be terminated. But I think the arbitrary shutting down of this shuttle that supports citizens at the lower end of our society, and they want it and they need it. Doing that just arbitrarily in less than 60 days is not the right thing to do.
But rather than us.
That's where I am on it.
Rather than us speculate on what ridership is, why don't we have
We don't
staff?
speculate. They have the numbers. CART has the numbers.
We don't have the numbers.
It was $3,000. I mean, I'm sorry, it was 3,000 members last year. Riders.
3,000 trips in a year, 365 days. So that's.
Say it again, Dan.
10 trips a day,
10 trips a day?
10 trips
trips
a
a
day.
day. So
And they're also planning to go up on the cost. of
now,
riding.
so what is the current ridership? And what are those people paying to ride?
But that's not the issue. I mean, that's part of the issue for a long-term study of whether or not the ridership will sustain it. But the issue tonight is, do we want to sustain it long enough for them to be able to advertise to see if they can get our ridership up? That we don't want to
I think they've been
just
trying.
terminate it just like that with no notice, no anything for these citizens.
This conversation's been going on for a long time with the Round Town Shuttle. This isn't a conversation that just popped up 45 days ago.
Yeah, but termination just popped up 45 days ago.
Renee, is there any way you can go back to, because we got another work session, right?
Thursday night.
To conversate with the city, because I feel like they ought to have some obligation
Okay.
to help.
Call Terrell.
And go back to them and find, and I feel like,
I agree.
he should have had time to talk to his mayor and the rest of the
Okay.
council. And put it back in your butt, whatever you gotta do
Okay.
to be fair.
Yeah, I'll call Terrell.
I want to say something. I agree with Audrey.
I agree.
Just around a town shuttle, a lot of people depend. on
Yep,
it.
I agree.
We in a city,
Mhm.
rural county, we
Mhm.
don't have public
We don't have
transportation.
transportation.
Like, we don't have a cat bus like
Mhm.
Durham does.
Right.
Or a bus like Raleigh or Charlotte where they can go and pay their money and go anywhere in the town they want. We don't, if we don't have around the town shuttle, a lot of people will have nothing.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people do not have transportation in terms of ability to own cars.
Yeah.
A lot of people do not have people that they can rely on to get to work because they ride with somebody else and they can rely on that person to get there on time.
Mhm.
A lot of these people use this around town shuttle to get to court.
Mhm.
They use this around a town shuttle to get to social services. They use the around town shuttle to get to their doctor's appointments. You know, it's hard enough right now trying to ride Carson. You got to make an appointment at least a week ahead of time. If you need to go to the doctor say, well, I need to see you in 2 or 3 days, you can get on that round town shuttle that day or that next day. Otherwise, you got to wait a whole week and hope that you can get cars to come and pick you up and you're gonna get your appointment filled. This is an essential service to a large majority of people that live in the city. And the city is in Vance County. Everything we do don't have to depend on a profit margin. Sometimes we gotta do stuff for the people of Henderson. And when we're doing stuff for the people of Henderson, we may not make a large profit on it, but it's something that we gotta do that's in the best interest of a lot of citizens. You know, I represent clients in DSS court. A lot of times those people are in court because they're about to lose their kids. Their presence in court is essential. Some of those people don't have transportation and cars and stuff. They use that around town shuttle to make sure that they're in court so they don't lose their kids. So a lot of times when we start eliminating programs and stuff, we got to look at what are the needs of the citizens as well, not just whether or not we're gonna make a profit off of it. I think it's an essential service. Like Archie Taylor said, we need to look at least for a year. You know, I remember when this conversation came up, we talked about the fact that Granville County has their around town shuttle and it's free. They have a grant. Why doesn't Vance County have a grant?
So when I talked to Mr. Cantor, he's in the process of applying for that grant.
So-
So hopefully, if you all approve funding it, it's kind of like bridging them until they can get the grant. Yeah, he's working on grants
I don't agree
to be
with-
able to support
I
it.
agree with both, but yet still, we saying
Mhm.
city, that's the
Yeah,
same
it's
thing
just a
as
city
in the
issue.
county.
How
The
are we making
county-
this a county issue?
But it's, what I'm saying is, I understand everything they said, I agree, I
Mhm.
agree, they need the service, but I'm saying, outside the county, I'm out there in Williamsboro. I see folk walking down the street trying to get to Henderson, we don't got a service out
Mhm.
there.
Yeah.
The, round town to come pick us up and take them there, you know, and what I'm saying is, I agree that we need it. But my thing, the city should have some kind of compassion as well. Even if we do fund it, whatever way we go, I'm not saying get rid of it, I'm just saying, come to the table with
Okay.
us.
I'll talk to
Yeah.
Terrell.
I think the funding that Granville County is using is something that comes from emissions grants. Because they're in an area that's on emissions requirements. And those grants are only available in counties that have emissions, which is Wake and Granville and have
Emission.
emissions like.
That's not the way I understood it was the Department of Transportation had some grants that they were giving. This has been a few years back now, what, 5, 6, 7 years ago? And only one county in a region could get the grant. And Oxford applied for that county, for that, and got the grant. And that took care of this region. Nobody else in the region could get the grant. And so now, as the manager is saying, Cantor thinks he can go back and try to get them to change on that. But that's the reason they got the grant, because the Department of Transportation was only going to give one to a region.
But when I was on attack, that wasn't the conversation we had, but anyway.
So can we revisit this Thursday
Yeah,
and give the
Yeah.
manager enough time to have that
Yeah.
delicate
Yeah,
conversation?
I'll talk to
And
him.
they tell me about one other thing, the city does not want to help them.
No,
And it's not in his proposed budget, no.
but we supposed to squeeze in.
It's not in their proposed budget.
It didn't come up. This is something that came up.
It didn't come up last minute, so
This is
it wouldn't have
the
been in his proposed budget
been a
because this was
discussion.
last minute.
Yeah, there hasn't been a real discussion with
Yeah,
the city. on
right.
this.
One thing,
They can put it in
that
there.
Archie brought up, and I really,
Yeah.
really
I agree.
touches me a little bit.
Yes,
It touches you.
Yeah, it
whole
touches me.
time.
When you cut people off
Yeah.
and you don't give them a chance to have some kind of alternative, and that, I'm not sure you want to discontinue service that fast and that quick without giving opportunities for something else to happen as far as the people in this community are concerned.
That's true.
And so I really and truly think we need to think about this and maybe get back to the city, but however, you know, telling people, the people that ride that don't have other
Yes, ma'am, for
transportation.
transit.
So you agree
I
with,
agree,
let's
but-
have a conversation and we come back Thursday?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay,
Yeah,
so that's what we're gonna do.
But they should
okay.
come to the
I'll talk to
We're
Terrell
gonna let you
tomorrow.
have a conversation, we come in and we visit this on Thursday.
Thursday night, okay.
You know, he's done a major turnaround with the card system.
Yeah, we go,
Hold on, Robert.
Yeah.
huh?
I said, he's done a major turnaround with the cart system.
But I think they should come
And
to the
that
table.
being the case, maybe he's got a plan to turn this thing around. And so if he could give us a little
Okay.
idea on that, whether he's gonna charge people more or actually let them.
They are gonna charge people more, that I do know, but that won't solve the problem. That won't solve the problem. But we got something coming called micro transit,
But
That's the
and that's
Uber-
gonna take the place.
That's Uber vouchers.
Kind of
If that
sort of.
comes next year, we won't need the round.
That's it. So the Uber vouchers and that kind of thing. is what-
Yeah.
Yeah.
well,
Okay. All right.
if we
So,
do decide to
moving.
do it, we
Okay.
can send the city a bill.
I need to go back to, so I just need a consensus as far as the presentation from fire. You all are waiting until you determine what you want to do with the fire study before we even touch anything with.
Right.
Okay, consensus. Just want to make sure everybody's on the same page.
Oh, no, we ain't on the same page. Oh, no.
Fire, I just need consensus or some type of decision on how we want to move forward. Since I've asked that for everything else. I failed to ask that.
But
Would
for
giving
the-
I have a
part-time
question.
Raise, would it, giving the part-time a raise effect would that be a big difference in trying to keep out,
We-
get part-timers without the?
We had those things in our budget last year
Uh-huh.
to go to $17.
The question is, how long we gonna still be on this study? When we
We're
gonna
gonna be
get?
dealing with it.
We gotta look at.
We got a public
Yeah.
safety committee meeting coming up scheduled, don't we?
I haven't scheduled it yet because I wanted to wait till after 7/1 to
Okay.
dive into
So-
that.
Starting after July 1st, we'll have meetings and I'm anticipating we're gonna come up with a plan within a month.
My question is this, what do they actually need to operate now? Cause this done been a year. I understand we got to look things over and we got to make some harsh decisions and some good decisions. But what do these guys need to operate right now?
Well, it was in the, go ahead, I'm sorry.
The fire department as a whole, what do they actually need to operate? We keep putting this on hold, we keep,
What they talked about tonight is long-term things. Nobody's broke right now. They're broke of these audits and stuff right now, but they're not gonna be broke in 3 months. Now, as far as the pay study and all that stuff, the salary, the part-time, that's something that needs immediate attention.
So
But-
question, Dan, they're not gonna be broke in 3 months. We do a budget 12 months from, will they be broke 12 months from now when we do the next budget?
No, when we do, if we make any changes, we'll have the monies available within the budget to make changes and move things around.
Money would be available at the current tax rate. So I guess my real question is, do you all want to look at the tax rate for fire at all, based off what?
I think right now we have enough money in the fund balance with the fire.
you need to look at that too.
And so if we need to do something this coming year, and then we can evaluate the tax rate next year if we need to.
Didn't you just hear that man say that they done went up $500,000 on one machine? Then they just went from 600 to 1.1 million?
I heard all that.
So what you saying, I don't understand it.
Well, then take some time and study and learn it.
No, you didn't. So we thought, are we taking gloves off? Is that what
I
we
mean,
doing? Is that what we
there are
doing?
other alternatives.
Is that what we doing? We taking gloves off?
No, we're not. We're not taking.
That's why I said we didn't want to spend time on this.
We read just like you read.
Not a
man.
fire study.
This thing on hold every year over some BS. Then you come back with this and you come back with that. So we taking gloves off, let's take them off. Cause this makes no sense.
I was just asking, if they need
Yes,
raise
we
to
are.
keep part-timers, would that interfere with, would that be
No.
feasible?
I
If
think,
we need to give them a raise?
I think it's
to keep
pretty-
People,
I think it's pretty definite that we got to increase the rate for the part-time. We'd recommended that last year.
I mean, can we go ahead with that?
Absolutely.
Give them some parts, some
Mhm.
raises so we can get some part-timers.
And so I can't remember, what is the rate right now? Brandon, what is the
It's
rate?
They're currently $15.
It's expensive, incurred by putting part-timers in the building. Utilities have gone up,
Mm.
wear and tear on trucks is going up, the cost of the trucks is going up, buying uniforms for people is going up. All that stuff comes with a cost.
Mm.
Lowering the fire tax, lowering the insurance rate for homeowners comes with a cost. In our district alone, it's about $200,000. Can't speak for the other homeowners insurance savings. We've done that since this increase.
Mm.
So that's the basis of our argument. We've been keeping these costs for 4 or 5 years now. And here we are, we're pretty much essentially, we're scraping the bottom of the barrel to, just like us, we're getting ready to incur a $30,000 plus truck payment that we didn't have 5 years ago. Because we didn't have any choice. So and that's the same for there's 2 departments that have incurred the cost since then, and there's 3 more that's going to be incurring the same cost. 12 months would be detrimental waiting on incoming the fire tax to increase or the funding to increase. It would affect the safety of what we can do, it would affect the citizens, it would affect our ability to operate at the level that we have told our community and the county that we want to operate at.
So you
So
need
with
us to,
$21
do what now?
Just like I just
The
said.
question that I think I understand.
Okay.
The question I think that I understand here is, do we want to, well, what's being suggested is that we keep the fire tax at 89 cents. That's what's being, or something between what revenue initial is for the property, which is 0.6. They want something that's between 0.6 and 0.89.
Mhm.
So maybe they'd be happy with 0.7. Or points, whatever that, but it's up to us to
Right
determine,
now,
it's up to us to
Can you come
determine
up here?
what that number is gonna be.
right now, we don't have a basis for that. And that's why I didn't want to get into this
I
conversation
got that. I don't
tonight.
wanna get into it either.
And so we're not gonna come up here and start another speech and go.
I
through-
know, but I need consensus on how we move forward with the fire budget. I mean, I have to have it.
So what works for you?
Just like I've asked for everything else, I have to have consensus to bring it back to you all.
100,000 isn't going to cut it for us anymore, and $15 an hour isn't going to cut it for us anymore. It's not going to work. It's a huge risk. We haven't even hit on the OSHA standard that Chairman Brummett, that we spoke about last week. If they implement the OSHA standards,
We can all shut it down.
So,
everybody can shut it down. And
Right.
that's not a
That's true.
decision that we can make. We can help try to counter that,
right.
but that's not a decision that the county as a whole can make.
Mhm.
And we've looked at numbers, and my numbers aren't going to be accurate. We've done research and we've looked at numbers.
Mhm.
And we understand that the 1 cent generates
296.
296, where it
296.
was generating 207 last year.
Right.
So, and we understand that neutral is 5.9 and we're at 8.9. We get that.
Mhm.
We understand that our asks are up here too, with 175. We get that because we're planning for the future. We don't want to be playing catch up next year.
Right.
But if we've got to wait to get what we ultimately need, we can find some sort of happy median in the time being, as Commissioner Taylor said. But putting it off, we're just getting further and further down the hole. We're gonna have truck payments due when trucks roll in the door.
So you all need the part-timers.
We need part-time increase, definitely part-time increase, and then we need the funding to compensate to help.
So you're looking for a tax rate? that's why I just.
Yes,
wanna know
ma'am.
If the
Well, right
So-
now, we got $670,000 in the fund
In
balance.
their fund balance, yeah, which it'll be, yeah, and it'll increase, June 30. Well, after. Yeah, just because of the-
Roughly 200,000
Yeah,
of lap
just
salary.
because
is
of
gonna go back
salaries that
into
are gonna
it.
be
So
back in.
So we'll have 800,000 basically in that ballpark.
Right.
So that gives us a sustainable amount. If we just say, okay, come by August, we're gonna make a decision with come to this board with a recommendation. And that recommendation, as long as it's less than an increase of 800,000, it's sustainable for this coming year.
Okay, so your recommendation would be to just disperse
I do
some of the
believe that
fund
with the
balance
budget,
to
we
support
need to
them.
Go immediately to at least to 17, and then we'll consider if we need to do more.
When you say that's
17 an hour.
per year, but what I'm hearing you say, we need more than that to get us beyond 24, 25, right?
We're not talking about a year though, Leo. We're talking about August of 24.
So
But what he's saying, if he gets to August 24, is that gonna be enough money to get us to August 24? And then we make a drastic change or recommendation?
Yeah, well, we'll have to adopt.
Recommendation of that.
Yeah, but that'll be after budget approval. So if you, I'm just thinking about the tax rate. That's all I'm thinking about right now.
But
So,
we have money in the fund balance to cover if we make additional changes.
There's
Why don't we do it as
650,000
well?
in the fund balance.
We'll have 800 in fund balance at the end of the
But what they're
fiscal
asking
year.
you.
I'm talking about the tax fund balance.
Correct.
Huh?
I'm talking about the fire tax.
Our tax fund balance.
650,000 there.
Right.
that was something in August that we had asked
Will be
for.
800 in there?
But that needs to be in the budget. We do a tax rate.
absolutely.
We need to
Has
decide
to
on a
be.
new tax rate, y'all.
So let me ask you this question.
Put all the mess out.
$1,575 for, and that'll cover all the volunteer fire departments.
That would be at an increase at 175,000 per department for operating costs. Yes, ma'am.
You want an extra 75,000 each department.
Yes, ma'am. That's what we were asking for, which would be countywide and to include, well, that wouldn't include the rescue squad in that because their funding comes from the general fund, but they would walk behind us. That was the ask.
And then you want to raise on top of that.
And we need a raise on top of that.
Yeah. So let's,
For her, for budget purposes, y'all, we need to decide on a tax rate. She needs that.
Tonight or Thursday night. I
You
have
need
to
that?
have it. I have to have it.
say Thursday night, let's
We
have,
need to get you to a new tax rate.
we'll have a
It's up to y'all.
conversation Thursday night.
Okay.
Well, tonight, I just got this today.
What you say?
That's right.
Say what?
I said, we just got this right here today.
We come on
so
tax
I-
rate, we won't talk about that. We were talking about tax rate.
What?
We won't keep on that. Come on tax
We're
rate.
talking about
Yeah.
tax rate.
I'm talking about that too, because I'm just.
I think it's
some
9.
figures.
How many volunteer fire departments is it?
So it's
9.
8 and then 9, including the rescue squad.
Yeah.
which-
8. Yeah.
Like I said, we represent them as well. We
Okay.
all know what pretty much generates out of the fire tax, then the county has matched them out of the general fund. So one ask for one is one ask for all.
Okay,
you
so I
said
just need to know by
nine, you're asking
Thursday,
for the- on-
whatever y'all want to say.
Now,
On the behalf of 8, because the general fund would have,
The rescue.
correct, yeah, because
Nine.
yeah, well, the general fund would have to pay the rescue
Come
squad
out
because
general
the fire
fund,
tax
come out
can't.
fire tax.
So 8 in the fire tax and 1 out of general fund.
That would be correct. Yes, ma'am.
Now, does that doesn't include Golden Belt though.
no,
No.
he said.
So it's 9 with Golden Belt. Golden Belt
It-
also gets money.
Yes, Ms. Famouser, you are correct in the sense that it is because the Golden Belt, their fire tax, they're matched out of that as well. You're correct. Yep.
So it's 9.
Says
Yes,
9,
ma'am.
9
9
plus 1.
correct.
9 plus 1 is 10. It's 75,000.
Okay, all right, Thursday. Okay.
It's $675,000.
Thank you,
Okay.
Brandon.
Thank you. What else you got?
Well, the only thing that I had that was additional was just discuss capital projects, see what direction you all want to go in and it pertains to the EMS main station, EMS Northern jail, jail renovations or jail bill, just capital projects, period.
Okay, I think we have a properties committee that's supposed to be discussing some of those things. Is that scheduled already?
Properties committee, not to discuss funding for capital funding to build a EMS jail? I mean EMS in jail?
I thought we
Or
were supposed to talk about it in
properties is not, no, this needs to be included in budget conversations. If, whatever direction you all want to go in. Y'all need a break?
problem.
I think so.
I need a break.
I think we need a break.
Yeah, let's take a 5-minute break.
Yeah, 5-minute break.
You got the right one.
Move around,
Okay.
folks.
Goodness.
We go read since I was reading.
Yeah. They're around here.
Add 5, okay.
Jesus.
That much.
Mm.
Shoot.
Yeah, but if y'all gonna think about the fire or for the general fund, like you have to.
You need the police.
I hope. I'm just, thinking about.
So we're gonna find.
Frank County said they had like, 3 or 4 deputies there tonight on security. I looked at the school.
And Frank, yeah, listen, I'm so, if they,
So
they
what do
talk
you
like
need
the
from
county
us?
to do it, I don't be surprised. if they
Just the
don't.
fire tax thing? Is that the
But
only
this-
thing?
Yeah, but
Take the
I don't know if y'all wanted to
You,
discuss.
I just, you know, if they, and I think
That
that's
in the budget?
something I like.
No.
Just act
Oh,
so-
No,
It's not in the budget.
No, it's not.
I
in the
know
budget.
when
So, I mean, I think those things, even if we move forward, that, the northern station, I think we pretty much said we wanted to move forward with, we said.
Right, and Jonathan's working on that, but I'm
Jonathan's
just talking
working on
about when it comes to.
Yeah, if it's Maine. But if we do that, it'll be 2-3 years before that even happens.
Yeah, I
So it
know,
won't
but,
be in the next year's CIP.
correct.
I'm
but
sorry, but you gonna do
Restoration in order for debt service,
Yeah.
that's the only thing I'm thinking about, and.
Is that something that we can have a conversation about? Is it more proper to have it there?
It is, but it's after budget. approval.
So, but they at 89 now, right? They want regular, use track for 594, but they don't want to change it.
Yeah, but if they.
There won't be
They
any
said this is what they really
disbursements on the EMS station.
So if that is
If we
technically,
went,
Correct,
what
and
she
I
said,
understand that, but.
5%.
Wanted additional funding to be.
Then I would put it at
599.
so might, so it says six.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Renovate
Yeah.
just the jail renovation.
So they would be.
You know, they didn't.
But this is about from this to six.
If that's how it goes,
What's up, girls?
I don't know.
But we were saying, okay, she says right here, 110.
Yeah.
What will generate this? He's saying he needs 1.5 million.
Okay, what is, if you take 1 penny, how many, you go up 5 cents, what
Yeah,
does it get in?
This is 5.
That's 5.
Yeah, but
Oh,
he
yeah.
needs,
I would
6,
be really in
which
favor.
brings it up to 6.
Yeah, and I talked to.
This is not bad.
Okay, good. What?
So what is it?
$296,933.
Okay.
200,
296
296,933 times, what you gonna,
times
I increase
6.
it by what, times 6?
Yeah,
That's $1 million. What they need?
Randall County.
they said they need, but,
That's what gets them there, doesn't it?
yeah, plus this. So that's still 200
Okay.
extra,
Increase, what is it?
and that 200 should come back.
But we need to find that would take them to what they need, right?
Yeah, and that's just 6 cents.
That's 6 cents. I
On
don't,
this now.
I don't have a problem with that. If we're going from, what was she saying?
If you don't do it now.
What was it before?
It was 8.89, right?
So, yeah, but what was the, what was the rate that it was saying she was recommending? Renee, what was the rate you recommend in terms of fire tax? Come here.
We could borrow. We could take on the debt.
Even if we go with.
Yes.
Yolanda's figuring everything. You said this is 1 cent would generate a net, right?
Yes, that's,
She figured that in terms of we went up 5 cents. What is it? This would generate to 1 cent.
If we went up on your thing.
oh, okay, if you went at 5 pennies, that would generate that additional.
That would generate- you know,
Yeah,
And that's,
290,
and that's
sorry,
what they're asking.
yes. So that's what they were asking, to keep the rate the same. So pretty much, so.
Now,
yeah.
what are we figuring wrong then, everything is 1 penny? If we keep the rate the same, how much is that? What's going to get that? You know, I'm not trying to figure, what is that 1 cent penny increase? Is that based on the 0.89 or is it based on,
No, it's based on 5.9.
based on 5.94?
Right.
So what she's saying, go up 5, we went up 5 would be, we take it up to what?
1 point, is that 5 pennies,
No,
96?
This 6 cents.
We did 6
Oh,
pennies.
y'all did
Because
six,
we
so
want to
that would be
take
the
care of
additional
this
revenue.
plus this.
Yeah, that'd be the additional.
So
revenue.
we would go from this to what? What was that?
So instead of
10.94.
5.94,
She said,
it's 0.60. You got,
Yes.
okay. If we take it up to 6 cents. So we, by raising it up to.
Oh, you
that's 11.94, is that right?
Go up 6 pennies, do you?
No, that's what we're trying to figure out how to
Yeah.
get this amount right here.
Mhm.
Oh, let me see. So,
Big part.
so you need this additional, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, in addition to what they already had. So it's whatever this amount is, so. yeah,
Oh, so they don't even need that much because they don't want, they already got the 100,000, so we only need to calculate in that 75,000.
But
Yes,
I don't-
right,
but
75,
they,
right.
you know, they went on the higher, they don't really need that.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
No, they don't
Yeah,
need
I
the
wouldn't, I
Not the
would
whole
say,
6
I would
cents.
say no more than,
3
I
cents?
would say, yeah, I would say 1/3, that's what I was
1/3,
thinking, that's what I was thinking, 1/3. Yeah, I wouldn't do 175. 175 is too much.
Definitely,
But I do think that we should disperse some of their funding to
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
I mean, they operating off
So,
all.
but if you do, you wouldn't even have to disperse the fund as you go, just go 3 cents.
So how much we gonna take
Right.
this to?
And that'd be 1.5. So I'm sorry, that'd be 7, that'd be 900 million. That's 3 pennies.
So you saying go up 3 pennies?
If you go at 3 pennies, then that would take it to, so that would take it to right at what they're asking for. Now, they
It would be
they want
8.9.
8. Now, they want us to keep
Oh,
it
no,
the same.
not 3 cents, okay.
Yeah, they really want us to keep it the same at 8.
No, we're not doing it.
Yeah, so if you wanted to explore maybe 7 cents, that gives them a little bit over.
So you said, instead of this, we go to 7%.
Go to 7 cents. That gives them a,
How much
that
money
gives
they-
them a
how
little over
much
three
money
hundred
did they
more
get
thousand
there?
dollars. A little over $300,000. Cause you're only going up a penny, which is
I don't understand
296.
this how finance is there.
It can be confusing.
933.
Uh-huh.
7 cents.
Times, you only going up 1 penny.
Oh,
So
one
just
cent.
that would be, it'll give them additional $300,000, except for that 0.06.
Okay.
I don't know what that is in my mind, but if you want to set it at 7 cents, it gives them additional $300,000. So to support some of the things that they need, but maybe.
How we get this into the books and it's gonna come back, because it means you need this into March 4th.
I do, I just need consensus on
Yeah,
Thursday
we
night.
got that. 'Cause we're not doing nothing. I know.
Yeah, oh no, you
No,
should.
and I got this.
Yeah, yeah.
And we need to figure out, you know, how much they can go up.
I want, they didn't tell me, Johnson, I don't want,
Yeah.
I'm not into reading all that, to be honest. with you.
Yeah.
Tell me what works for you.
Yeah,
That's
so
what I'm
it's,
saying,
yeah,
trying to come
yeah,
up
it's going
off
down.
of this.
Yeah, it's going down 3 pennies, right? So if we just let them stay at maybe 7 cents, I think that would be beneficial, to give them like $300,000 and then just disperse some of their funding.
Yeah, and then, cause we still don't satisfy the people like that man who's fussing about the land or all the acres or whatever. So we can't be raising it, but that was raising the fire tax, so not the regular.
Not the regular, not the general fund tax rate.
Raising the fire tax.
Yeah, then the revenue neutral rate is 0.6129, well, 61.2, 61.
And that's revenue neutral, different from what we're doing in terms of taxes, what we're doing.
Yeah, we're doing, I recommended revenue neutral, but that's without funding for.
But what are we doing in terms of talking everything, budget and everything? Tell me this, Dan Hall, what are we doing in terms of tax new rate? It was 6.6, what,
61
.29 and everything. Are we doing anything with that?
I recommend it that way, but then we're gonna talk about capital stuff in a second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, y'all ready?
Yeah, so just.
All right, guys, let's put it right together.
One cent will give us that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they
Thank
were
you so much. I
some
appreciate
dollars
it.
to play with.
So what we gonna go?
I ain't good.
If we just go.
I'll be good though.
They got that to play with, you know.
So what would they recommend? Take it on? She said 3 cents. Let's take it on one.
If we do 3, it's gonna stay at 0.8 million.
Okay,
If we just go, try to get that be right here.
okay.
All right. What do we got next, Renee?
Oh, missing, you want me to wait?
She said, go ahead.
I know, oh, okay. So we missing several. Okay. Okay, so I just wanted to, next I wanted to talk about capital projects that were, in January, when we had your retreat, we discussed some capital projects in the capital improvement plan. And at some point we'll update that. We didn't get the chance to update it before tonight's meeting, but I just wanted to open the floor for discussions on things that we've been talking about for a while as it pertains to a jail or jail renovations, and just trying to get direction on how do we move forward and move forward with discussions about jail, EMS, main station, Northern Station, some of the other things that were in the capital improvement plan. Hold on for a second. So the fiscal year that the CIP that was presented to you all in your retreat in January had a little over $21 million in projects for county projects, and between Vance County Schools and the community college, there was about $33 million in capital projects over the next several years. So just looking for direction from the board on, and I know I presented the budget revenue neutral, and I did that because this was my first budget and I didn't feel comfortable recommending a tax increase. But I do know and understand that we can't move forward with any conversations as it pertains to jail renovations, jail bill without a tax increase. So I just wanted to open the floor just to have conversations about where you all are as it relates to the jail, number one. And how do we move forward with what do you all want to do? Renovate? Want to move forward with the conversations on renovating, finding land? I don't know. I'm just looking for direction because I haven't had any, and when it comes to the jail.
When it comes to the jail, I think that we need more accountability, especially when it comes to the money and what's being spent. So my opinion is, just my opinion, that you should maintain the sheriff's budget, not his day-to-day operations. But if anything needs to be spent or valued, you need to come across your desk.
So when you say,
A new jail was $40-some million, right?
45.
45
Plus
million.
land,
yeah,
Plus what?
plus land.
Plus land.
yeah, it's expensive. Yeah, and the debt service payment is about $4 million a year.
That's about-
What was it?
Yeah, starting off, it's very expensive. I know.
Okay, so one
Yeah.
thing that has not been presented to me is if we were to get a loan, how much would it cost in terms of
Debt service.
we'd be paying per year on that loan?
I sent that to you all back in,
14% tax increase.
yeah, it's like $4 million a year, the debt service.
Yep, 14%
Yeah.
tax increase.
I can find the information that I sent to y'all and resend it to you. Yeah, so,
Now,
yeah.
instead of going through a general bank, if we were finding an additional funding source, would we be able
Yeah.
to find something where you could get a lower interest rate than what you're gonna get on that 14?
Probably not, because it probably would be a USDA loan anyway.
USDA, or if you went to GO
yeah.
bonds, then
Yeah,
those generally a
Yeah.
little bit higher than.
yeah, you're looking at 40 years at paying that off if you go USDA. I think there's an option for 30 and 40. And some of this information was presented at your retreat in January, but
So
Yeah,
Based on your proposed rate was 6.1.
yeah,
Plus 14 cents, we're talking about 7.5 would have to be the current tax rate.
yeah, yeah. And I would definitely wouldn't recommend that. No.
I
Yeah,
would
that's too high.
recommend about 66 or 67, which would still put us under like 23 cents. 0.23, not 23 cents, but 0.23. Because if 61 is the neutral value and we go up to 66 or 67, that'll give us the extra value per year that we can actually put value money aside. So when we do find a land, because we need a jail, we need an EMS station. All of this is a must. So we have to raise it a little to get the revenue to get us, because keep patching up this jail is a headache on us, it's a headache on the sheriff, it's a headache on the staff. You know, he can't get quality people to come in and work. So we need to start thinking for the future.
Sean, you were working on some grant opportunities, and that's to me is the main thing that's got to happen for us to have a jail.
It got to happen because when I was at Capitol Hill, we actually had a conversation in reference to get money for the jail. But there are grants and loans that you have to be on a certain list. And I'm working on getting us on that list that they can relay information back to the county manager.
So we talk about, so the grants, who would be, so you all looking for the grants? Who looking for the grant?
Well,
You?
the last meeting that I went to when I was on Capitol Hill,
Mhm,
that was the conversation with the senators.
mhm.
And they was explaining that there is a list, but if you're not on this particular list, you won't get the information.
So you don't know I don't know what kind of list do
I'm
you know?
still processing it, you know,
Okay.
I'm new at
So
this.
there are a grant without a list.
Yeah.
So it's
Yes,
some grant, so if we're gonna do this, I mean, because we could talk about a grant in another 5 years.
exactly.
So when do we start the process of a grant to see do we get?
And so I haven't looked at every county, but I've never seen a grant for a
Grant for
jail.
a jail.
I'll just be honest. When I spoke to a representative, I went to a luncheon not too long ago and I can't remember what representative it was. And he asked me what projects we had, Don Davis's office. And they asked me what projects we had and I've submitted jail and EMS. And he said, you can submit EMS. He said, but 9 times out of 10, jail, he said, just go ahead and just submit EMS for funding, possible funding. So I submitted that. Haven't heard back from it.
Do have a grant out, you got,
Yeah, for,
Okay,
possibly.
okay,
Mhm,
awesome.
yeah. So Don Davis is aware that we need an EMS station, but when it comes to a jail, I just think that's something that we're gonna have to decide what we want to do as
Yeah.
a board.
But in the meantime, we need to.
Well, you all as a board, I'm
ourselves-
sorry.
Okay,
So let me ask you a question, Renee. I know Granville County saved quite a bit of money before they actually built their jail. Do you know how much they had put aside before they actually?
I don't. I can find out. And I just told Archie and Dan this. So this was a reval year for Granville as well, and they went 9 cent over revenue neutral in order to fund future projects as well. I think sometimes the thought process is don't raise taxes until you have a project, but I feel like this is the year if you all decided to move forward in that manner. It won't happen next year. And I think we all know that. If you all wanted to do a tax increase, the reval year is the best year to do that. And that's my professional recommendation, just because I know it won't happen after this. And I think we all know that.
Okay, so you all were trying to build a jail in Halifax, was it Halifax?
Mhm.
Okay, what avenues were you all taking down there to determine whether or not you're gonna have sufficient amount of funds to?
So the board decided, I think this is reval year for them as well. And so the board, they didn't go revenue neutral. So they got additional funding to do, they're actually upfitted their, goodness gracious, I just lost my thought. They renovated, they didn't build, they renovated. Yeah.
so the neutral that we had said at first versus, I think was it 64? No, what?
61.
61, so.
yes.
if we went
Yeah,
66,
0.6129.
if we went
0.61.
neutral just to 66, how
Mhm.
much would it affect our citizens?
So I got some information from Portia. So 1 penny is equal to $432,206. So for a person whose house is valued at $100,000, 1 penny would increase it by $10. So if you have a $100,000 house, your taxes is going to be revenue neutral right now is $612.90. So per penny, it goes up $10.
And no,
So $50 for a house that's valued at
so
$100,000.
$50 only.
For a $100,000 house. And of course, it just increases. Yeah,
and average house is
I don't know.
250, 300,000
Yeah,
now. So
yeah.
that's an extra $150 in property taxes.
Yeah.
All right, the other avenue we've got some school debt
Mhm.
that should be retiring pretty soon.
I don't have our debt schedule. But I may have it with me.
I'm thinking in the
me
next
see.
3 years or so. That some of the substantial, there might be some of the substantial debt that would give us some decrease in debt load.
How much are you talking, Dan?
I'm not sure, so I think,
My book is downstairs. I didn't bring our, I can have that on Thursday night.
I'm thinking it was.
I don't have it with me.
some-
Oh, it should be in the budget though,
Round-
but it doesn't have the
round
time
about-
frame. It's in that
round about.
Davenport book.
Might have been a couple
didn't bring it
million
with
in
me.
debt service,
So we went up to 0.6, and that'll give us.
but I'm not sure where that debt service came from. I mean, we might have been getting lottery funds for part of that.
Okay.
So that's what we just gotta find that out.
I can have that on Thursday night.
So Thursday has a lot of decision, like.
Yes, unless you all want to schedule another work session after Thursday night.
And we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
And work from there.
While he's looking for that, I have a question on. the
It's,
GPS.
it's not in here specifically, but
I have a question on the GPS, that's why Dan looking for. Last year we had talked about putting GPSs on all county vehicles.
Mhm.
Where do we stand with that?
So they've been actually installation started today on all county vehicles except for vehicles in the sheriff's office. The sheriff expressed to me that he did not want them installed on his vehicle.
Is that per our counties? Is all sheriffs doing that?
So Granville County has them on their vehicles except for the sheriff. Halifax County does not have it on their vehicles. Franklin, yes. And Warren, yes.
Franklin Warren has it on all, right?
Correct.
And when you said Granville, that means nobody in the sheriff department has those.
No, they do except for the sheriff himself.
Sheriff himself.
Yes, all the other vehicles, yes.
All the other, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
But and then what was the other county? The
Um,
same way, just the sheriff, but the rest of them had them?
Halifax does not.
Have none? on them?
Correct, correct.
Okay.
Mhm.
Is that a decision?
And it was just,
Is that a decision we make with the GPSs?
As opposed to.
no.
Enforce them.
so,
I'm just trying to get the logistics of process.
that's kind of hard question to answer because when I reached out to other like Halifax told me when they, when they installed them, they couldn't force the sheriff to do so. Even though it's a county vehicle, it's their office. So they essentially make the decision. The sheriff makes the decision, even though it's county vehicles. So I guess that's kind of a question.
Why you don't want them on your vehicle, Sheriff?
No.
Not your per se vehicle, but
County, the sheriff, yeah.
Yeah, but if the
turn it-
laptop is out of the
they turn
vehicle,
it
then
off,
it's,
then-
yeah.
When they turn it off,
what they gotta do with the vehicle?
because this laptop is in their car.
So it don't come out the cars at all?
When they bring it to the office, think information.
Is that why you don't want them on the vehicles? Because you got laptops?
Because I'm, got government authority.
The other counties that have the GPS, they also have that inside of that.
Some of them, yeah.
So it's my under,
I don't see, in terms of what he's asking you, I'm trying to find out why you don't want the
we know you
GPS
got
in
authority.
addition to that, which is what I'm hearing,
You know you got
not
authority.
in lieu of that. Isn't that what you're saying?
Mhm.
Correct.
Yeah.
If it's just for me only.
No, well, I'm not talking about you. I'm
No,
talking about,
When you ask me a question, this is the answer I'm trying to give you.
but you're answering for me only. I didn't ask for me only.
No, no,
I
no.
talked about everything.
Because the deputy sheriff, the board of sheriff, are governed by the sheriff, not by the board of commissioners, not by HR.
Sure.
Not trying to be sarcastic or, overstep, but the deputy sheriffs are governed by the sheriff. They work for the pleasure of the sheriff only, not by the board of commissioners, not by the HR. No one has any authority over my deputies but the sheriff.
We understand that.
I understand, but to put a device on their vehicle for them to be monitored, it will only be done by me.
Why would you why would you not want to monitor them?
I do monitoring. I do monitoring. When someone called,
What they're talking about, what does that do that you don't like?
what did that do?
They're talking about the GPS and everything.
Uh-huh.
The cars, not
In the car, what is that, what about that you don't like?
Well, why should it be dual monitored? They're monitored by me and my staff.
I just asked for.
Yeah, they're monitored by me and my staff.
That you don't like first, that's all I'm asking.
What?
What is it about that particular instrument?
If I didn't have that, I would probably say yes.
Okay.
But I already have something in place.
So you already monitor them?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so can I ask you a question?
Yes,
'Cause I
ma'am.
think this was a concern, with, like, for, who else has laptops? EMS? Which department was it that when you take the actual laptop out the vehicle, it loses the GPS signal? That's the sheriff's office cars, right? Because when the laptop is missing, like not in the vehicle, it doesn't track it, correct? That's my understanding.
Tracks the computer.
The tracks.
Only, right?
Yeah.
So if the car is somewhere without the laptop, we don't know where the vehicle is. And I think that's the whole thing.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
true. I
yeah.
mean, if the car's at the mechanic shop, they take the laptops out of them.
Sheriff, do you know? If the laptop is out, do you know where the car is at?
I mean, if it's at a mechanical shop or
But if
somewhere.
it's not,
No, if it's not, no, I don't know where the car is at if the laptop is not in the car.
Sometime may there be a case where they might just take it out and not want you to know where it is, if that's one of the cases.
Right.
Well, they take them out to go in the house at night. I ask them not to leave it in the cars if it's 100 degrees.
So would you not even be open to having GPS on the vehicles and you only have access?
If I only
Maybe
have,
it's just what about just me and you? Just to ensure that, it's county property,
Yeah.
essentially.
I'll think
It's
about
county
it.
property.
I'll think about it.
Yeah, because your objection for what I'm hearing is that once you put GPS on there,
No,
outside force can monitor where they are. It's not completely under your control.
no one should be monitoring my vehicles and my staff but the sheriff.
That's what I'm hearing. Okay.
That's fine. Anybody have any more questions for the sheriff? No? Okay. So what were we talking about? Jail? That's what, right?
Raise the tax rate, put money aside for jail, let's move on.
Right. So did you say raise the taxes? What did you?
I think what we said was you were gonna get us information on what debt service we've got retired.
Oh, yeah, we can. Yeah,
So we
that's,
can-
yeah, well, you'll have that Thursday.
Educated
Yeah.
decision.
Okay. All right.
Can make a decision on the 66 tonight, and be done with it?
Huh?
She's gonna get a what?
I
on-
said, we never passed it, said,
Huh?
that's the best time to do it, you ever gonna do it, do it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, let her do, yeah.
Can
We
we,
wanna know how it's gonna affect them.
Okay, go ahead, I'll buy
She
it.
said one.
Okay. All right.
What about that fire tax, you gonna bring it back on that, right?
Thursday. Yeah, we'll have the additional
What
information on
about the
Thursday.
other thing in terms of school, in terms of budget, what are we giving them, what are we looking at?
They didn't want anything additional. They were fine with what,
Well,
You
the
got
school
$1
system.
million.
Yeah, but it was because of capital projects. And I didn't just give it to them just because it was a valid request. Because remember back in January, there was an, not a concern, but there was a request from the board for them to come present. Yeah,
So they
because
got
they're
everything?
always,
they got
no, they did not. No,
everything?
ma'am.
They not-
Yeah, so let me tell you what their request was. Hold on for a second. You got it.
while you looking
They
for
did.
that, did you make a mental note from .89 to .84 for the
Something.
fires?
Wait a minute, hold on. School,
She
what
said, "Hey,
page?
what happened?"
Was it 122? Here we go. So for capital, they requested 911,000. And so I recommended 775 for
Mhm.
capital. And so for current expense, they requested 9.6 million and I recommended 9.2. So, and last year they requested 8.8. So they did request an increase.
Okay, so is that taking care of these helping the teacher with the
No, I'm about to
supplements?
say, soon as she
Mhm.
finished.
They're
Yeah.
taking care of those classified, all of that's been.
Everything that they
That's
needed,
all
yes,
I
ma'am.
want to know.
Mhm. Yeah, and we didn't fully fund them, no ma'am, but we did
Oh.
increase their funding.
On that same note, Commissioner Leo and I was having a conversation, and they saying that they needed like 1260 per child. And they had 119 more. You talking about the school, right?
Yeah, yes, 119 more students per DPI, supposed to come in August.
So couldn't we wait to see if they get, how many they get?
No, and then do what? And then do a budget amendment to give them additional funding. Yeah, and don't forget 30% goes to charter schools too.
I'll find the number for you, but
Yeah.
the monies that they're getting total per student is way above what other counties
Yeah,
get.
that's my whole point.
Funding,
I'll
some
get
of the funding has to go to them. Yeah, right.
We get a lot of federal funding because we're
Right.
low income.
Yeah,
so.
correct, right.
Yeah.
You said that, it just like, why?
Yeah, back to the school
I've got
system.
it. I just can't find it on my
Tier
phone.
one, they get a lot of
That's
federal
why I was
funding.
looking forward to
So
getting the
how much
meeting.
federal funding do they
I'll
actually
find
get?
it.
And they asking us for?
I can ask John to send me the information.
We give more, but we get less.
So why do you say we get less?
Why I say we get less?
Yeah,
Every year, everybody come in here and ask for more, 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 but they can't really justify where they getting all this extra for. And it's every year it's the same thing.
Mm.
You know, when is we as a board gonna say enough is enough?
Mm.
You know, show us accountability. You know, show us this is what's really going on instead of saying, well, I need $100.
I mean, I think their request was very detailed in the information that they sent to us. It was a very detailed request.
That's just my opinion.
I guess what you're asking for is what I like to see is an impact statement.
Mm,
If I don't get this, this is.
This is what happens. That's something we can explore for next year if you all want that. Okay,
They can tell you where.
yes. I don't have anything else on my list, that I wanted to point out to you all. But I know, do you all have any questions that you wanted to ask?
I have one.
Okay.
This is pertaining to the board itself. Our trial.
Oh, wait a minute. Yes, you're right. I did some research on that.
Oh, you did?
I did. You about to talk about travel?
I'm about to say it to the board, then you can.
Yeah, because I've been getting questions. Go ahead.
Okay, as y'all know, every time we go to a convention, a seminar, or conference, we got to pay.
Yeah.
And then we got to bring receipts in. We got to bring receipts.
And I lost 1 year. So
Yeah.
My question is, if we was to get a stipend, then we wouldn't have to worry about receipts because you will already have it.
Yeah.
And
So,
it'd be a whole lot easier to me on the county.
yeah. So in preparation for this conversation, I totally forgot. So, we did some research, had Kelly do some research for other counties. So Edgecombe County gives their commissioners an additional $385 monthly. Nash County, $250 monthly, Northampton, $300 monthly, Pitt County, $1,200, but we're not Pitt County. Yeah, I know, right? Additional. And so Warren County is an additional $3,200 per year. So, and I was surprised that Warren,
Credit card, right?
Warren County does not have a credit card,
I thought
but
they
some,
just- it was-
yeah, Warren County does not. So I would recommend $250 monthly additional for the commissioners for a travel allowance so that when you go out of town and travel, you don't have to necessarily worry about coming out of your own pocket to pay for food. And you don't have to worry about receipts or submitting anything.
That doesn't include hotels, that kind of.
No, Kelly will still handle all that.
kind of
No,
stuff.
no, absolutely not. That's just for eating and incidentals. You would get,
Run back what other county give real quick.
yeah. So Edgecombe is $385. Halifax is a credit card. Well, a credit card is in finance and it has to be checked out. But they get a stipend, but I can't remember. She didn't give me the amount. I think it's like $100 a month. It's not a lot. Nash County, $250 a month. Northampton County, $300 a month. Warren County is $3,200 a year, which is $267 a month.
Where you came from, what was it?
So they have credit cards and a stipend, but the stipend is really small. It's like $100 a month. I would recommend, instead of credit cards, I would recommend travel allowance because we're thinking about doing something different with credit cards countywide anyway. So
What would you recommend in terms of travel? What would you recommend?
$250 additional for commissioners.
That would include like if you're driving back and forth to Raleigh, whatever, meetings.
Correct. Yeah, still get mileage. Mileage, you can still get your mileage.
Mileage pay.
So mileage is not excluded. So, but for meals and incidentals.
Meals and stuff.
Yeah. So, but my recommendation is $250 additional.
Is that taxed?
So what you're-
Yes.
And what?
Tax.
That tax.
Is it tax? Tax.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, by the time you tax, I won't get nothing.
Yeah, well, we get you guys get we get a 4% COLA across the board. That's my recommended budget.
You can fill out, there's a form you can fill out, a tax form you can fill out. to offset your own expenses against
Mm.
that.
Okay.
So 81.
Non-exempt.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Is an exempt.
Make sure y'all write.
I go to recommendation. I don't have a choice, right?
Yeah, $250 a month.
County manager recommended that.
Yeah.
Other counties
So
do it.
when you go.
Yeah.
You pay for your own food. We ain't gotta worry about saving receipts.
Yeah, you don't anymore. Cause I think when I think about, you know, the audit process and the auditors come in and looking at each receipt, I just don't want us to be in a situation in which we get flagged for anything. It'll be easier just for y'all to have a stipend. Are you all, do do I have consensus on that?
Vote on that?
Well, not vote, but I just need consensus to add it in the budget.
Oh.
Yeah.
consensus.
Okay.
Dan?
$250 a month. You got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Do a lot of work stuff, you know. I mean,
Yeah, you do a lot of traveling too.
And so just one more thing, I promise. Could you have some questions? Or you go?
I've got a whole book of.
Okay, we're gonna be all night. So, when it comes to, staffing, we have 75 plus county vacancies. Yeah, it's a lot. DSS, absolutely.
actually-
DSS has 40 plus.
That because people saying they are applying for position and nobody's being called. So there's been one of the complaints to me.
Yeah, so is it like in a certain department that they're applying for?
I heard a lot of people say we apply, but nobody's calling. You know, I know
Okay.
one person that applied for a position, very well qualified. I know it's qualified.
Yeah.
It's still there. Nobody's calling them for interviews.
What department is it? Do you know what department it is?
It's like that, administrator, is it Medicaid?
Oh, social services.
Social service.
Okay,
So nobody, it's their department, nobody's being called. That's
Yeah.
I'm having.
yeah, and the applications are definitely going
Applications
over.
There, but
Yeah.
nobody's calling for interviews or anything. That's why,
Yeah,
that's why
well,
I address you.
Yeah, I have to ask Dan about that
Okay.
since.
Social services is different than the other departments.
Yeah.
Because social
Well,
services
But that's part of the.
has to be approved
the
by the
number?
state.
It is. Yeah.
DHS, in the state, when they have a vacancy, the state, they send the vacancy to the state, and the state tells them whether that person is qualified.
Person
for that
already working for
position.
another county in that department.
Yeah,
Still go to the state.
it still has to go through the state, yeah.
Yeah, that's why they
Yeah.
have so many
So
vacancies.
what I'm saying,
I think
person's qualified.
Yeah.
If you could get that name, then
Yeah.
we can check
Okay.
that out. see what's
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah,
Just
okay.
something could be wrong with the
I have
system.
a question on that too. In your opinion, how can we do recruitment to try to get people?
So, for this budget year, we have added some sign-on bonuses to some of the positions in social services, but we have to increase salaries, minimum. There's just the 4% COLA is it'll help us, but I think the salary study is really gonna be beneficial.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, because it's just, we're just too far behind.
I've asked the director of social services department to come forward and ask you directly
Mm-hmm,
to increase
yeah,
the salaries of people in the social services department.
Yeah.
So that's why they can't hire people.
yeah, the minimums are terrible.
Salaries. are
Yeah.
too low.
What problems we're having is, like, we've got a social worker 3 position available.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the person that applies for it is qualified as a social services 1 level. So what they do then is they call it a work 2. You work towards,
Work against.
work against,
Mhm.
okay?
Yep.
So you work against working up to that level.
Mm-hmm,
So that person doesn't get hired at that social worker 3 level.
Yeah.
They get hired at whatever level they're qualified for.
right.
And that's
Doing the work for what they was.
until they do their time and get qualified.
Yep.
And that's the issue
Yeah.
that we're dealing with for the most part right now.
Yeah, and I think we have a lot of work against because we don't have qualified people
We don't
applying for
have
the
qualified
positions.
people.
So,
Okay.
right, so when you think about income maintenance is responsible for, food and nutrition services, adult Medicaid, family and children's Medicaid. The minimum that as of 7/1 is $34,000. But you can go right to Durham County and they're gonna bring you in the door at 45.
Yeah.
And you get to work from home 3 days a week. So there's just a lot of things that we just don't offer. And at some point, I would love to see us start some type of telework. We're not equipped for it now because all county employees don't have laptops. But at some point, we have to make some serious changes or we won't have anyone working here. But it's just,
Work with this, it's-
66 would be beneficial with raising
She works 3
salaries,
days from home. She had to go to office twice.
money coming in.
Yes.
They said get more work done.
So
What-
is this study only limited to social services?
No, it's all county staff. It's every position.
I definitely want, the sheriff.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Go
There's
ahead.
too many-
Go ahead, Sheriff. Yeah.
Ms. Martin, correct me if I'm right.
Yeah.
Come July 1st, law enforcement and detention center is gonna come to a screeching halt and hire new employees.
Okay.
For centuries, we've been hiring people and putting them on the street and sending them in school
BLET.
6 weeks or whatever, or 6 months down the road.
Yeah.
Come July 1st, we can no longer do that anymore. So if we don't get our salaries up, where we can hire people that are already certified, we're gonna be in a lot worse shape than we are now. So,
Sure. Let me ask you a
Yes.
question on that note. What is, your salary?
the salaries,
Start, let's just do starting salary.
41 and 43, I believe. 41 for non-certified deputy. I think it's 43 for certified.
Yeah, detention officers.
That's the BLET.
That's BLET certified.
Okay,
Police department is 48.
do you know what Franklin County is for sheriff? Deputy?
No, I have those stats. I have them to you Thursday.
Yeah,
I didn't come
Warren
prepared.
County, Franklin County, Grambling County.
I can have all that for you Thursday.
Okay.
I can have that.
Got it.
Well, see, that's,
Yeah.
what- see,
Yeah, you're right.
But
that's my whole.
But what we need to consider is, and it's sad that this county can't compete with the city of Henderson. Police department paying $49,000 a year, right at $6,000 more than my deputies.
No, the reason I asked,
What's the difference in a BLET and a trainee,
A trainee is someone's non-certified,
non-certified?
yes.
And you saying that you can't bring, after 7-1, you
Out
can't,
the 7-1,
you can't have any training.
they cannot do in a law enforcement capacity, they can't do any detention officer duties. Now, they can sit in the car and look and can't get out.
Mm.
Oh, that's all they can do. Or sit in the courtroom and listen to a judge, that's all. If I hire them after July 1st and they're not certified,
Anybody now that's in that predicament,
no, it don't start to July 1st.
you don't have anybody in that situation.
No, I got, we just sent a guy to school, when he start? We got 4 trainees and they start the school, but they're fine, because I hired them before July 1st.
so,
But anyone we hire after July 1st, I got 4 sitting in that threshold that we can utilize right now. We got 1 in school now.
well, this might be off topic, but I have a question. Do anybody knows what did the city raise or lower? Do anybody know
Praise the Lord, what?
with their taxes?
Oh, they raised. They raised 9 cents.
Yes.
10 cents, something like that.
That's what was told to me.
What's the question? I'm sorry.
City raised their tax.
What did the city do here?
What you mean with their tax?
Yes, ma'am.
10 cent,
How much?
10 cent over revenue neutral.
And we complaining about keeping it the same? No wonder we can't pay nobody.
Yeah, I was very surprised when I talked to Terrell last week. Yeah, and they're actually in the process of doing a pay study as well. Yeah,
And people, trust me, I get it, the tax basis, but we got to do something different.
yeah,
We
you're
we
right.
got to do something
I've been
different.
preaching it and I've been preaching it and I've been preaching it.
And this is not for me, it's for the benefit of the citizens of Vance County who we said that we would protect and serve.
That's right.
Okay.
I agree.
10 cents.
Thank you. I have that for you Thursday.
So let me ask you this, Curtis, so your jail salaries, are they below?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, detention officer is 39,406 as of 7-1.
As
with
of
the-
7, yeah, but
with the
not-
4% COLA.
Yes.
Yeah, with the 4% COLA.
As,
Below counties in this area?
oh,
I
yes.
was just about
You
to
said
ask.
Are we the lowest?
You said it's how much?
When you come Thursday,
39,406
both.
as of
I have both.
7-1
I have both for you, for the detention and.
with the
yeah.
4% COLA.
you're gonna have both for us on Thursday, the jail and. the
What you looking at?
I'm looking at the
Grade 64? It's in order by grade.
64s,
Uh-huh. Detention officer?
detention officers, and I'm looking at just the salaries of these individuals, and there are a ton of them that aren't making that much.
What page?
No,
This is 39,406 is as of 7-1.
that's a.
After the
7-1,
COLA.
yes.
60?
Yeah.
61?
And so these sheets in here, historically, I was told that these sheets were current salaries and you all don't get the new sheets. Kelly said we always put the old ones in here, so that's what we did. Those are old salaries. Those are salaries as of right now.
I think the current salary is 33 and 36 for the jail, I believe, the current.
You got them anywhere from, 36
33 to
258.
36.
Right, so that would be before the 4% COLA. And some of them could be, are any of them trainees? What page you on, Dan?
Page 60.
Let's see, hold on for a second. Page 60, detention officer. I see 36.
Trainee here for that.
Okay, trainee is 37,890.
Yeah,
Says
like,
you-
but see,
I've
you,
often said,
but you've got position number,
I wouldn't come here working.
you've got position number 20, making 37,890 as a trainee. And then position number 24, making that much less, and they've been there a year longer.
362.
And you're correct, Mr.
Yeah.
Kelly. People say they will not come and work at the detention center for only two things, for salaries and unsafe working condition.
Right, right. That's definitely a part of it. Did you say, what line items did you say, Dan?
24.
I said, line item
24.
on page 60, number 20 and number 24.
Okay, I see 37,890 and I see 36,258. Not unless it's an error in this report that I would have to, we
Okay.
can just get with payroll staff to see if there's an error in the report.
And
20 and 24.
24 has been there 5 months longer than 20.
I see years of service. Oh, you're looking at the dates over here on the right.
Renee, let me ask you this, in terms of looking at all that, we all know the folks on the thing.
Yeah.
In order to get them to a competitive salary, what needs to take place?
Implementation of, well, the study is gonna take a year.
Forget the study, we all
okay.
know we're underpaid.
So when you say just,
To get people so that people will
Be interested
in
in
the
work.
position, be interested in coming to work here and everything, get the salaries to a level that we don't have the.
you mean what can we do right now?
Yeah, what can we do this budget year? Cause like
So-
Kurt said, it's gonna get worse.
Okay, so we could explore, instead of doing a 4% COLA, we could increase the COLA to increase the minimum. We just have to run some numbers to see.
Where do we get the money? I guess that's what I'm. where-
Hotspot
Oh.
in the job.
Tax increase,
Well,
possibly.
Yeah.
I mean, because the funding that we have now doesn't support it. Sorry. Is that what you were asking?
10, well, we can't go 10.
Yeah, just not,
It's paying for everything the city ain't paying for. And we got to do.
We gotta increase salary because now we.
yeah, you're right.
We gotta increase salary.
No, I'm looking at all these vacancies. I'm looking at the vacancies,
You got it.
DSS,
Yeah.
Social Security, the jail.
Yeah.
We got so many vacancies because of income.
No, it's terrible.
Yolanda will tell you, and Yolanda will tell you, and what is it, Carolyn? We toured social service, and remember that situation, we toured social service, that parent that was off.
Oh, my God.
And that girl, that social service person had to deal with that. I'm surprised they didn't call you, Curtis, in terms of government. That particular situation was horrible in terms of what that social worker had to deal with that day. I have never heard such discussion, such cursing, and 2 children were involved. 2 children. And that girl had to neutralize that situation. I was afraid for her life.
Yeah.
And we want to pay her 38,000, 28,000, 30,000.
No, ain't no way. I wouldn't do
She
it.
tell, take this job and shove it.
Okay.
Well, my thing is, we got to wait till Thursday to make a decision.
On, make a
Yeah, go
decision.
on, let's-
We need to have some
Have some
valid
discussion.
numbers to go by.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of the things we could do maybe on a interim basis, until you're talking about the salary study and all that. We have 3 rates. We have the hiring rate,
Mhm.
the median range rate, and the upper range rate.
Right.
And we've had people working in this county 30 years who never get to the upper range rate.
Mhm.
That's not right.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
And so one of the things you can do is to stop hiring people at the hiring rate and start hiring people at the medium range or the upper range rate.
So we do
We've
that.
already got that.
Yeah, we do that because we just,
don't- we got-
I'm at sheriff's salary. I've been tired from this county for 33 and a half years service, and 31 of those years were here in Banks County, and I'll never reach high pay.
Right, that's not right.
Never reached it.
Yeah.
There's something wrong with that picture.
That's, I
If you
agree.
got those steps in place, and a man stay here 30-some years and never reach high pay, or a woman, something's wrong with that picture. And I never reached it.
We're sorry to put it on you, Renee.
yeah, no, it's fine. You know, HR is my world. That's my previous life. So I was gonna just make a comment about what you were talking about, bringing new employees in at the minimum rate. So it's difficult to bring,
Or even a higher rate, depending upon if the employee tells you, I'm making this right now.
Mhm,
That
right.
might be our mid-range rate.
right. But it just depends on what experience they bring in internal equity.
course.
Yeah, because we have a lot of,
But you always have to meet people with how much they're making right now.
Yeah.
Regardless of what their experience is.
Well, I know, but you have to also think about internal equity. So let's say, for example, you have an income maintenance worker who works at a call center that makes $52,000 and they want to do something different. They want to come work for social services as an income maintenance worker. The minimum is what, 36, 37 for income maintenance, but you have a person that's already in social services, that's an income maintenance worker that's been doing the job for, let's say, 7, 8 years. From an equity standpoint, I can't bring a person with no experience in income maintenance in the door higher than what that person is currently working. So we have to look at internal equity. The fix to that is the study and a compression study as well. So, but that's gonna come with a big cost when it's time to implement it. It's not gonna be cheap.
Compression is the
Yeah,
major issue.
it is. It's compression. It's terrible.
Compression affects the ability of us
Yeah.
to bring in people
Yeah.
at our level.
Yeah, I mean, and we could, to put a Band-Aid on it, we could explore increasing the COLA that we're recommending this year.
Walmart and CVS is.
I know,
telling us buying
but
Band-Aids.
I mean, we gotta get staff in the door.
Walmart and
So,
CVS.
we sit here
telling us
tonight
buying
and,
Band-Aids.
and we could be looking at a 30-cent tax increase with everything we put out here on the table tonight.
Not 30.
But yeah, it's right there. at it.
10, not
It's
30.
right there. at it.
Maybe
I
10,
mean,
not 30.
we got to get the reins on it. All right, what else you got?
I don't have anything else.
Okay. Page 11,
Page 11.
Page 11.
planning fees.
Hold on.
11. I need some
Page 11.
Yes. Planning fees.
Okay. You didn't project any increase in revenues there. And I think maybe it's part of that because you're planning on splitting the departments.
To be honest with you, maybe not. I can't remember. Just because we didn't have a planning director in place. So we just went ahead and just made our estimates based off what we thought. So,
But you've got in your fee schedule,
yeah.
you've got most of the fees increasing.
yeah.
So we just need to
we
evaluate
didn't
that.
Increase any fees?
Yes, we do.
Did we? I thought we only did fees for increase in stuff for solid waste. Okay,
We did everything by $10,
Okay.
$20.
okay, we'll revise it.
Planning fees and all that. It was recommended that
Okay,
Come on, like getting permits and stuff.
permits stuff.
increase revenues. Okay,
Most of the stuff now, the planning fees will be in we'll go to you'll have the planning department and then you'll have the inspections.
correct. Yep, they're being split out.
So those things being split out
Yes.
would be that, I mean, that's a recommendation.
Okay,
But we need to probably
Yeah.
have a discussion on that.
okay.
Okay. And this is on the revenue side, it's on page 13.
Page three, okay.
The DSS administration is down $900,000 from last year. Or no, it was estimated, it was approved at last year was 5.8 and it's recommended at 4.1.
There's a reason behind it. I think DSS did not submit all the information in time. Is that what it was? With Tilda? I thought so. So we'll get those revised numbers from Tilda because what they submitted to us is that's what they submitted to us. And not unless they had not received full notification of what they were going to be receiving.
Okay,
That's what we received from social services.
but that's gonna be $1.8 million more.
Right, we'll get with Tilda.
Cause they got, they understaffed.
I mean, that's administrative, so I'm assuming that's what it's.
Yeah.
Probably I'm pretty sure they
Yeah.
got half a staff, so that probably is salary.
But that's an item,
Yeah.
it's a $1.8 million
Yeah.
variance, what it probably should be.
I'll get with
And did
Tilda.
we end up doing a 75% budgeting or did we do 100% on
So
salaries?
for salaries, we did, what number? I don't know the percentage, but we did reduce salaries, just because those positions are not filled.
Okay.
I think we did 9 months. That's right, 9 months of salaries. Mhm. Yeah,
In
75.
In
Mhm.
certain departments?
Yes, correct.
Okay. All right,
Yes.
okay. In the sheriff's budget on page 15.
Okay.
you've got gun permits, you've got that revenue going from 16,000 to 26,000. And now we don't have permit fees as far as individual guns. Is that gonna, I know that some of those fees are for concealed carry permits.
Say it again.
What line is that? What's the number?
Line item 906.
906, gun permit 16. It's 26,693. I don't know, that would have came from the sheriff's office. Sheriff here.
Yes.
I can't remember. Oh.
Look like Janet.
Gun permits.
We've got gun permits. I know they changed the law where you don't have to get pistol permits anymore or handgun permits. So do you project, what decrease in revenues do you project with that?
It depends because our concealed handgun permits are slowing down.
Well, they should be gone. They don't exist anymore.
No, concealed.
Oh, the concealed is slowing down too.
We don't do some permits,
Right.
we don't. But the concealed handgun permits are slowing down.
Okay.
People are renewing, but as far as the new ones, they're slowing down. So I can't project one way or the other.
Okay. All right. But there should be a revenue variance there.
We'll talk about that, Janie, because it increased. Okay, we'll talk about it. Okay.
Okay. Page 17, line 003,
003. Okay.
franchise tax. I didn't think we got those anymore.
We'll check on
I
it. We'll
thought the
check.
state took those and that was one of the things we lost, the franchise tax fees.
Okay.
Revenues.
What is franchise tax fees?
Where you allow the cable companies, different cable companies, phone companies to operate in your area, they pay you fees for that.
Do you know when that ended?
That's been several years,
Okay.
6 or 7 years ago.
Oh, okay. Well, it was in the budget last year. It's improved. It was approved last year.
Yeah, and that's what I'm just, that's
Okay.
a question.
Okay.
Why?
I'll check into it.
Because I know it went away, the state took it from us.
Okay.
So who got the money?
And so that's why we haven't had the ability to do that, but that's just a number.
Okay.
That's the question.
Okay.
You might have to do a line by line.
Huh?
Oh, Dan got you. He gonna check it all.
I said, who got the money? You might have to do a line by line.
Okay, and then
Oh, my God.
on page 18,
Yes, sir.
line 22, the JAG grant.
22.
Did we not get
Justice grant.
40,000?
Oh, hold on, you going fast.
Justice Assistance Grant.
What?
Line 22,
Yeah, $7.
page 18.
Justice assistance?
Justice
Yeah.
Assistance. It looks like it was, 23-24 was approved for 7. I don't know why we would estimate 47. So I think historically it was budgeted low, and I guess maybe when it comes in, we do a budget amendment. I'm not sure. But I will tell you, a lot of the things that were recommended were from, we just kind of mirrored the budget before. So if we need to make changes to that, we can. Because it looks like 7,000 was only approved for 23-24, so we assumed that it would be the same. So I have no idea where 47 came from. Well, we have to check to see if we received 47 this year, because I don't know.
Yeah, and that's
I
what.
don't even know what that grant is. Yeah, so many grants.
Give it Dan and clean up, because he's going line by line, item and everything, and I understand when you looked at his budget before, some of these things are saying.
Correct.
Assume they were there in terms of moving.
Correct, yeah. Yeah, we're gonna have to clean up. We have a lot of cleanup to do next year.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, she been cleaning up a whole lot.
A whole
So
lot.
this might be part of the process that just ain't finished.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yes, a lot to do.
Page 19, line 743.
743.
Transfer from fire tax.
Yeah. That should have been 100,000. I don't know where's the other 45 coming from, 45.9 coming from?
We just mirrored 23-24, which you all approved.
Okay, and that's what,
Okay,
point that in maybe a previous direction, maybe we need to do a little research.
Like the rest of them?
okay.
That one just. Then on page 20, page 45, what,
I mean, page 20 or page 45?
page 20, line item 45.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
We got-
Contracted service.
Yeah,
My,
pages what?
Dan, how many pages are we gonna go through tonight? How many pages you got earmarked today?
138 in this book.
I know, I wanna know how many do you have that you're gonna go through tonight?
It's pretty consistent throughout the thing.
So you're gonna go through every other page or so? I mean, that's okay with me. I just wanna know.
Appreciate you doing that.
Yeah, exactly. I appreciate that too. I don't appreciate me being here doing it.
I know. I got to come back in the morning.
Doing it. So.
And you haven't moved here yet, right?
I did.
no,
I'm 10 minutes away.
Point is, if you're gonna do, if you got a lot of pages left to do this, you can get with, you guys get together and clean it up.
Yeah, and this is, my philosophy is this is the public process, okay? And so the public ought to be aware of the process, and that's the only reason.
Well, I will tell you, I'll give you my proxy.
Wait, it's a positive way you can look at this too. If we do this tonight and get it over with, we ain't gotta do it Thursday, so it should be a quicker meeting.
No, because he's bringing back some numbers on Thursday, the sheriff.
Yeah.
That's on salaries.
See some, yeah, but still, we gotta be here Thursday, regardless of what you're talking about. So if he meets with her, they can clean it up. And then Thursday, he can tell us what they cleaned up.
Personally, I want to know myself.
Oh, well, then you and Dan stay here.
All right, I
Oh,
think
we
what
not
we'll
staying
do,
here with no.
Can I answer this question first about 36,000? So I won't forget about it. So the funding for my recruitment was in contracted services. So that's why it's reduced significantly to $1,000. Because it was paid out of the governing body's budget last year for my recruitment process for developmental associates. So
Okay.
that's why I just want to answer that.
well, check. All right, so, been a long night.
Yeah.
I'll try to get with Renee and go through some of this stuff.
How much more is it just?
So we got county
What you
advocacy
got,
day.
Don? Sean said, how much more you
How
got?
long did you just?
Oh, look, he goes all the way to the last page.
I told you.
Oh, my God.
That's why.
He's a finance person.
You want
he
to come
has
see me
my
tomorrow?
proxy.
Watch him, Ms. Williams.
Huh?
Well, I mean, I'm
I
gonna
told Ms.
be,
Williams, work with him.
So,
Yeah, he has my proxy. Y'all work it out.
okay.
Yeah, but you got people watching on TV, they're not gonna go.
So-
watch it now.
Tomorrow, we have county advocacy days. So I'm planning to head to Raleigh around
I'll
2.
be in Raleigh all day tomorrow.
Okay.
I'll be in Raleigh till 12:30 on Wednesday.
Okay, well, I have a doctor's
Whatever time
appointment on
that-
Wednesday.
Gotta be there.
I have a doctor's appointment in Greensboro on
Raleigh.
Wednesday.
No, I've got another meeting on my.
That was a joke, Dan.
So, oh, wait a minute. I lost my train. I have an appointment in I have a doctor's appointment in Greensboro. So I'm leaving Wednesday from Raleigh, heading to Greensboro.
Oh.
And Thursday and Friday, I'm moving. I'll be here Thursday night, but the movers are coming Thursday and Friday to finish moving me. So our only option I have is first thing tomorrow morning, but I don't know if you're not available.
I've got to be in Raleigh at 9 o'clock.
Okay.
Got your co-chair.
See, yes.
You don't have any notes on which
We
you,
meet tomorrow, what is it? We have dinner tomorrow.
Yeah,
evening,
at 7.
At
Yeah,
7.
I've
At
got it
7.
all written down, but I want to know the answers.
Yeah, okay, okay.
That-
All of y'all be there but me tomorrow, probably.
Okay, all right, so
Yeah.
Who's going tomorrow?
we're gonna adjourn this meeting for tonight
Okay,
We'll meet. at 6 o'clock on Thursday.
Thursday, yeah.
And then some people have some information they're getting together.
Yeah.
And we'll figure this part out. We'll probably have to come back and
Okay.
talk about some of these things at some other point.
Okay.
Are you going tomorrow?
All right?
But Dan, I appreciate you.
County advocacy days.
Vital. It's vital what you're
I think
doing.
it's probably $1 million stuff in here,
Yeah, so I would let,
Legislative. Legislative.
over $1 million.
yeah, because of what happened, we need to figure out, we need to.
Exactly.
all this stuff.
That's why I did it.
Yeah, we need to, that's why I said it's vital.
You can turn-
I like that meeting.
Turn that off.
So you can get.
You want to sit with him? Oh, you want to sit with Frankie? Frankie will be here. He knows